Nepal launches zero pending file drive to speed up government work. New policy targets long-standing bureaucratic delays. Nepal enters new year after historic political upheaval. Gen Z protests, government collapse and elections reshape the country's political landscape. Trivandrum International Airport upgrades passenger facilities for comfort and care. Breastfeeding rooms and medical support push for inclusive services. Government seats 20 stalls in Prikuti Mandap over years of unpaid rent. Reporters clump among those affected. US warns of port blockade as Iran talks collapse. Amid escalating tensions, Strait of Hormuz security fears rise. And Asif Sheikh hits double century as APF and Army dominate Prime Minister Cup matches. Batting fireworks and big wins set up final showdown. Good evening, I am Sarah Sapsanamarai and this is NTV World Prime Time News. We're coming to you live from Kathmandu at 1900 hours Nepal time. Elsewhere is 13:15 in London, 22:15 in Tokyo and just after midnight in Sydney. Now the news in detail. Nepal's Prime Minister Balendra Shah held a discussion with members of parliament representing Bagmati province at Singhadarwar in Kathmandu, the country's federal administrative headquarters. Bagmati province includes the capital city Kathmandu and is Nepal's most politically and economically significant region. During the meeting, lawmakers raised concerns related to development projects, public service delivery and local governance challenges in their constituencies. Such meetings are part of Nepal's federal system where provincial representatives regularly coordinate with the central government. The Prime Minister's Secretariat has said the dialogue aimed to improve coordination between federal leadership and elected representatives. Nepal government has launched a nationwide zero pending file campaign to reduce administrative delays in public offices. Nepal's bureaucracy has often been criticized for slow decision making due to files being held up at various levels of government. The campaign introduces new guidelines under the Office of the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers to ensure faster processing of official documents. Under the new system, files pending beyond 3, 7 or 15 days will be automatically reviewed to prevent unnecessary delays. Officials say the initiative is aimed at improving governance, efficiency, accountability and public service delivery across the country. Deputy Speaker Ruby Kumari Thakur of Nepal's Federal Parliament has formally assumed office at Singhadarwar in Kathmandu. Deputy Speaker is a key parliamentary role that supports the Speaker in managing legislative proceedings in the House of Representatives. Thakur took charge after being elected to the position in a parliamentary meeting held on April 10th. On her first day in office, Thakur held a courtesy meeting with Speaker Dol Prasad Aryal, who congratulated and wished her success. The Speaker's Secretariat said the transition marks the start of her official responsibilities in Nepal's federal legislative leadership. Nepal Rashtra Bank, the country's central bank, has released a detailed report on the state of Nepal's real estate sector. The report analyzes trends over the past 3 fiscal years using land transaction data and banking statistics from multiple government agencies. It focuses on Rajinama transactions, which refers to voluntary property transfers commonly used as indicators of land buying and selling activity. The findings show seasonal patterns in real estate activity along with significant differences across Nepal's provinces in terms of land volume and value. The central bank has said the report will be published quarterly going forward in order to improve transparency and understanding of Nepal's property market. We're going for a short break here. More news coming up. Do stay with us. You're watching NTV World and this is Primetime News. Welcome back. Nepal government has accelerated driver's license printing at the Security Printing Center in Kavre district in central Nepal. Under an agreement with the Department of Transport Management, the facility aims to produce 1.2 million license units in 6 months, with daily output currently reaching 40,000 units. While technical staffing shortages initially slowed progress, the center has already processed over 554,000 records, with another 300,000 scheduled to arrive for printing by Tuesday this week. This localized production is part of a broader national policy initiated in the fiscal year 2018-19 to retain capital by printing documents like passports and banknotes domestically. The Ministry of Communications and Information Technology of Nepal has launched an initiative to improve internet services within Singhadarwar, the country's main federal administrative complex in Kathmandu. Singhadarwar houses key government ministries and agencies, making reliable digital connectivity essential for daily governance and public service delivery. Minister for Communications and Information Technology, Dr. Bikram Timalsina, directed the Integrated Data Management Center to strengthen infrastructure and ensure uninterrupted, high-quality internet service across all offices in the area. Officials reported that while a 1 Gbps connection via Nepal Telecom and an additional 250 Mbps link for G-Cloud services are currently in use, occasional slowdowns and disruptions still occur due to technical issues such as optical fiber cuts. The government says improving digital infrastructure and deploying skilled technical teams is a priority to support more efficient, transparent and technology-based governance. As Nepal marks its new year in mid-April under Bikram Sambat calendar, the year 2082 will be remembered as a period of intense political upheaval. In September 2025, a Gen Z protest movement led to the collapse of the government headed by KP Sharma Oli, amid concerns over governance, corruption and a social media regulation directive requiring unregistered platforms to shut down within 7 days. Protests on September 8 began peacefully but turned violent later in the day. Security forces opened fire after curfew measures failed to control the crowd. It left 23 people dead and many injured. The following day saw widespread attacks and arson targeting the Parliament building, executive government buildings and the judiciary as well. The death toll from September 8 and 9 later rose to 76. The government stepped down within 27 hours, the first such instance in Nepal's history during protests. Within days, on September 12, the House of Representatives was dissolved and an interim government was formed under former Chief Justice Sushila Karki to hold elections. In the March 5 elections, Rashtriya Swatantra Party won 182 out of 275 seats, forming a majority government. Balendra Shah defeated KP Sharma Oli in Chhapa 5 and was appointed Prime Minister on March 27. As the new year begins in mid-April, Nepal enters a new phase following a year of political upheaval and systemic change. Now, travel is becoming more comfortable and inclusive at Tribhuvan International Airport of Nepal. Following a government directive, new essential services have now come into operation. From breastfeeding rooms to emergency medical support, the airport is upgrading its passenger care. Diksha Awasthi with Pawan Barsha Shah brings a story.
Traveling through Nepal's Tribhuvan International Airport is no longer just about catching a flight. It is now about traveling with dignity, comfort and care. For mothers traveling with infants, a long overlooked necessity has finally been addressed. This is the passenger waiting area, and just beside it, a clean and well-managed room now offers a safe private space for breastfeeding. Mothers can now feed their babies comfortably without hesitation, without inconvenience. And there is more. Inside the room, cradles have been placed, allowing infants to rest peacefully. No more carrying a sleeping child for hours. This small facility brings big relief. These breastfeeding rooms are now available in both the international and domestic terminals. But the changes go beyond childcare. For women passengers, the airport has introduced free sanitary pad services placed at the entrances of 3 restrooms in the international terminal and 2 in the domestic section. A simple step ensuring that a biological phenomena does not turn into discomfort or distress.
Sanitary pad चाहिँ 5 ठाउँमा डोमेस्टिकमा 2 ठाउँ र इन्टरनेसनलमा 3 ठाउँमा चाहिँ निशुल्क यात्रुहरूको लागि मात्र भनेर चाहिँ sanitary pad हिजै हामीले व्यवस्था गरिसकेका छौं. Sanitary को भेन्डिङ मसिन सहित फ्री sanitary चाहिँ प्याड हामीले व्यवस्था गरिसकेका छौं. त्यस्तै स्तनपान कक्षको हिसाबमा पनि हामीले पुरानो स्तनपान कक्ष रहेको ठाउँमा त्यसलाई स्तरोन्नति गरेका छौं. स्तरोन्नति गरेका छौं. जस्तो त्यसमा हामीले त्यसलाई सफासुग्घर गर्ने डिप क्लिनिङ देखि लिएर नयाँ कोक्रोहरू राख्ने र पुरा डोमेस्टिकको चाहिँ साँगुरो ठाउँ भएकोले त्यसलाई थप चाहिँ फराकिलो ठाउँमा हामीले सारेका छौं.
At the same time, the airport is also strengthening its emergency response. CPR machines have also been installed at 5 different locations to respond to sudden cardiac arrest. Airport staff, immigration officers, and security personnel have been trained to use them to handle such critical life-saving moments. This facility has been particularly beneficial for international travelers passing through the airport.
अब एउटा हेल्थ सेन्टर चाहिँ हामी राख्न गइरहेका छौं डोमेस्टिक डिपार्चरतिर पनि किनभने त्यो चेक इन एरियामा बढी मान्छेहरू सडन चाहिँ त्यहाँ हुने लाइन लाग्दाखेरि हैन त्यो किसिमको चाहिँ कहिलेकाहीँ ढल्ने बेहोस हुने लड्ने हैन कार्डियक एरेस्टहरू हुने त्यस्तो घटनाहरू भएकोले हामीले चाहिँ अहिले तत्कालको लागि चाहिँ यो एईडी भन्छ नि जस्तो अटोमेटिक एक्सटर्नल डेफिब्रिलेटर भन्छ नि त्यो सडन बेहोस भएकाहरू कार्डियक एरेस्ट हुनेहरूलाई हामीले त्यो मेसिन राखेका छौं.
And the improvements are still ongoing. The airport is preparing to establish a dedicated health desk near the immigration area where passengers can receive immediate primary medical assistance if needed. Because today, travel is not just about reaching a destination. It's about feeling safe, supported, and cared for every step of the way.
The Social Welfare Council of Nepal has locked 20 stalls and offices at the Refugee Mandap exhibition premises in Kathmandu over long-standing unpaid rent and dues. Refugee Mandap is a major exhibition and public event complex in the capital that hosts offices, trade stalls and public gatherings. Among the affected is the central office of the Reporters Club, led by journalist Rishi Dhamala, which reportedly owes around 7.3 million Nepali rupees, the highest single arrear in the case. Other organizations, including a student union affiliated with CPN-UML, the Consumer Forum Nepal and the Federation of Nepali Journalists Kathmandu branch are also among those locked out, with dues accumulated over several years. The council said the action was taken after repeated non-payment and has given the concerned parties 1 week to clear their outstanding dues. Bhutanese refugee settlements in Nepal's southeastern Chapa district have become increasingly unsafe due to a rise in deadly human-wildlife conflict involving wild elephants. These camps, including Beldangi, were established in the early 1990s after tens of thousands of ethnic Nepalese fled Bhutan and have since shrunk to around 6,500 residents due to third country resettlement programs. In a recent incident, 43-year-old Tul Bahadur Bista was killed by an elephant while collecting fodder, adding to at least 6 recent deaths linked to elephant attacks in the area. With declining international aid, many remaining refugees have turned to livestock farming and daily forest edge activities, increasing their exposure to wildlife encounters. Local officials and residents are urging urgent government action, warning that the combination of long-term displacement and rising wildlife threats has created a serious safety crisis. International news coming up next after this short break. The US military has said it will begin a blockade of all Iranian ports 1400 GMT on Monday after talks between the warring sides in Pakistan collapsed, with US President Donald Trump blaming the Islamic Republic's refusal to abandon its nuclear ambitions. US Central Command added it will not impede ships sailing through the Strait of Hormuz to or from other countries. Trump on social media has announced he would blockade the strategic Strait of Hormuz trading route that he has been demanding Tehran fully reopen after his Vice President J.D. Vance left negotiations with an Iranian delegation in Islamabad on Sunday. As negotiating teams flew out, mediator Pakistan said it would keep facilitating their dialogue and has called on both sides to honor the fragile two-week ceasefire struck last week that experts say could be put at risk by any maritime military blockade. Iran's parliament speaker Mohammad Baghir Ghalibaf, who led Iranian delegation, says the country will not surrender until threats, and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps says military vessels approaching the strait will be dealt with severely. In the meantime, oil prices have surged while stocks sank today after US-Iran peace talks fell apart. And Donald Trump announced a blockade of the strategic Strait of Hormuz, adding to fears of energy supplies from the Middle East. Oil prices, which tumbled last week after the US and Iran agreed to a two-week ceasefire, jumped around 8%, with both contracts topping $100 a barrel. Brent crude, the global benchmark for oil prices, jumped to $102.30 a barrel, while West Texas Intermediate rose by 8.7% to $104.94. Meanwhile, equities fell across Asia, with Tokyo, Hong Kong, Seoul and Mumbai off at least 1%, while Shanghai, Sydney, Singapore, Taipei and Jakarta were also down. Wall Street futures also slipped, starting the week on a subdued note. Furthermore, with inflation fears reviving, investors are now bracing for central banks such as the European Central Bank and Bank of England tilting towards raising rates in a sharp reversal from pre-war bets on rate cuts or a prolonged pause. US President Donald Trump said that he believed Iran was in very bad shape and very desperate, adding that Iran would not be allowed to obtain a nuclear weapon. He further claimed that talks had collapsed following negotiations in Pakistan, after which the US military announced plans to impose a blockade on Iranian ports within hours.
I think Iran is in very bad shape. I think they're very desperate. We had a meeting that lasted 21 hours. We understand the situation better than anybody, and Iran's in very bad shape. Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. Will not have. There is no way that they're going to get. They still want it, and they made that clear the other night. Iran will not have a nuclear weapon.
Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says that Australia wants to see the Strait of Hormuz opened, adding that lack of resolution on the negotiations that took place on the weekend were disappointing. The US military said it would begin a blockade of all Iranian ports within hours after peace talks in Pakistan collapsed, with Washington blaming the Islamic Republic's refusal to abandon its nuclear ambitions.
Well, we want to see the Strait of Hormuz opened, and with freedom of navigation taking place. So obviously the lack of a resolution in the negotiations that took place on the weekend were disappointing. We want to see de-escalation, and we want to see those negotiations resumed.
In a closely watched parliamentary election in Hungary, Prime Minister Viktor Orban has conceded defeat to opposition leader Peter Magyar. Orban acknowledged that the results were clear and understandable, stating that his party had not secured a mandate to continue governing. He congratulated the opposition after 16 years in power, marking a major political shift pending final certification of the vote. Orban, a longtime ally of US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin, had increasingly strained relations with the European Union and Ukraine. His opponent campaigned on a platform of distancing Hungary from Russia while strengthening ties with the EU and Ukraine. The outcome is being seen as a potential realignment in Hungary's foreign policy direction as well as its domestic political landscape. More international news and sports update coming up next. Stay with us. Dozens of people have been killed in airstrikes in northeast Nigeria, according to local residents, Amnesty International and the United Nations Security Report, amid military claims that the operation targeted jihadist militants. The strikes reportedly hit a market in the village of Jilli near the border of Borno State on April 12, leaving extensive destruction. The Nigerian military has said the operation was aimed at armed groups operating in the region. But survivors and rights monitors have raised concerns over civilian casualties. Authorities have not yet released a final casualty figure. Investigations into the incident are ongoing. Pope Leo XIV arrived in Algiers on an official visit where he was received by Algerian President Abdelmadjid Tebboune. The trip marks the first time a pontiff has visited Algeria, a Muslim-majority nation. Officials described the visit as a significant diplomatic and interfaith milestone aimed at strengthening dialogue between the Vatican and Algeria. Security was tightened across the capital ahead of the arrival, with authorities coordinating protocols for the high-level visit. Further engagements between church representatives and Algerian officials are expected during the trip. An eruption has been reported at Japan's Sakurajima in Kagoshima Prefecture, sending ash and smoke into the air over surrounding areas. The volcano, one of Japan's most active, is known for frequent eruptions that disrupt local air quality and visibility. Authorities closely monitor volcanic activity as ash emissions can affect nearby communities and also transport routes. No immediate reports of major damage or casualties were confirmed at the time of observation. Japan, which sits along the Pacific Ring of Fire, is home to numerous active volcanoes, making continuous monitoring and disaster preparedness a critical part of regional safety management. Now, Ruili city in southwest China's Yunnan province erupted in joyous celebration as some 20,000 tourists and local residents gathered in a central square for the Grand Water Splashing Festival. Armed with basins, water bags and water guns, revelers drenched one another in a vibrant ritual symbolizing wishes for happiness, prosperity and good fortune in the year ahead. The festival is regarded as one of the most important occasions observed by the Dai and Deyang people in Dehong Dai and Jingpo Autonomous Prefecture. The annual celebration has drawn visitors from across the country and beyond, fueling a significant surge in tourism revenue for the city. And with that, we move on to sports update. In Nepal's Prime Minister Cup cricket, a major domestic 50-over tournament featuring provincial and departmental teams. 2 matches were played today. In the first match in Birganj, Armed Police Force Club defeated Buddhist province by 74 runs after posting a massive total of 390 for 5 in 50 overs. APF batsman Asif Sheikh delivered a stunning performance, scoring 208 runs off 142 balls, including 17 sixes and 15 fours. He was named player of the match. In reply, Madhya province managed 316 for 8 in their 50 overs, falling short despite a strong chase in the high-scoring encounter. In the second match, Tribhuvan Army Club registered a dominant 185-run victory over Koshi province after scoring 362 for 8. Army captain Binod Bhandari starred with 189 runs, also contributed 2 catches, while Koshi were bowled out for 177 in 35.6 overs, confirming Army's strong position heading into the final. Nepal Army has won both the men's and women's titles at the 8th Men's and 7th Women's National Kho-Kho tournament held in Kirtipur near Kathmandu. Kho-Kho is a traditional South Asian tag sport played widely in Nepal and India. The tournament featured teams from provincial and departmental units across the country. In the men's final, Nepal Army defeated Lumbini province 19-16 in a closely contested 4-set match. In the women's final, Nepal Army secured a more dominant victory over Lumbini province, winning 16-4. Winners were awarded cash prizes along with trophies and certificates. Nepal Army emerged as the overall champion in both categories. Yannick Sinner returned to top spot in the world for the first time since early November after a 7-6, 6-3 Monte Carlo Masters final victory over defending champion and world number 1 Carlos Alcaraz. The Monaco decider was the first meeting of the top 2 in the world since Sinner won in straight sets in the final of the ATP Championship last November. In a tense and tight match with plenty of big shots, both players struggled with the windy conditions, which added an element of unpredictability to proceedings and led to 83 unforced errors between the pair. The win gives the 24-year-old Italian his third Masters 1000 title of the year, having already triumphed at Indian Wells and Miami, and extends his winning run in Master Series events to 22 matches. Before wrapping up, here's a reminder of our top stories this hour. Nepal launches zero pending file drive to speed up government work. New policy targets long-standing bureaucratic delays. Nepal enters new year after historic political upheaval. Zenzi protests, government collapse and elections reshape the country's political landscape. Tribhuvan International Airport upgrades passenger facilities for comfort and care, breastfeeding rooms and medical support push for inclusive services. Government seals 20 stalls in Brikuti Mandap over years of unpaid rent. Reporters Club among those affected. US warns of port blockade as Iran talks collapse amid escalating tensions. Strait of Hormuz security fears rise. And Asif Sheikh hits double century as APF and Army dominate Prime Minister Cup matches. Batting fireworks and big wins set up final showdown. That's it for this edition of Primetime News here on NTV World. Our next bulletin will be at 2200 hours Nepal time. Do join us through our social media pages and also visit our official website, nepaltelevision.com. I am Sarah Sapsanamarai. Thanks for staying with us. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
Welcome to the studios of NTV World in Kathmandu. Public Service Broadcasting PSB Nepal's new initiative to make Nepal more visible and audible to the global audience. Welcome on board.
This is NTV World. Facts that speak, insights that matter.
Telling the stories of a changing planet. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Exploring the heartbeat of Nepali creativity. This is NTV World.
The power of story shaped by technology. NTV World.
Unearthing Nepal's hidden heritage. Discovering the timeless Nepal.
Telling stories that endure across centuries.
Where culture breathes, stories bloom.
When the world moves, we make a sense of it. NTV World. Taste of Nepal. Every recipe, every flavor tells the story.
Journalism in the digital age. Fast, focused, verified.
Stories hold power. Stories reflecting life. Stories of the hinterlands. Reporting for NTV World.
This is NTV World. Welcome to News Hour.
This is NTV World. Welcome to Primetime News.
One story at a time.
Crossing borders, connecting voices. Where Nepal meets the world in dialogue. This is NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Voices that connect Nepal to the world, bringing perspective, region and relevance to every story. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Stand by. Mic is on.
3, 2, 1, cue.
We are NTV World.
Welcome to another episode of The Hinterlands on NTV World. This weekly show brings together stories from the hinterlands of Nepal, takes you beyond the cities and highways into the heart of Nepal's rural landscapes. I am Rosina Rai and we will be leading you into this journey every week. We begin with the Silam Sakma, a powerful spiritual shield, deeply rooted in Yakthun community and described in ancient Mundum scripture. The Silam Sakma is believed to ward off misfortune and evoke peace. Although it has been used for centuries, recently gaining popularity. Let's take a look at its sacred significance.
In the Yakthun Limbu community, according to Mundum traditional scripture, Silam Sakma is used to prevent misfortune or death and to invoke peace in a person's life. During rituals marking both joy and sorrow, a small bamboo piece is crafted and woven with 9-strand white thread into tassels, and it is an essential item in the Tangsing ritual. Since ancient times, within Yakthun communities, nature-based traditions, Yewa Sambas, the ritual priests have used Silam Sakma as a symbol of truth and peace in an individual's life. The same Silam Sakma has recently gained significant attention after members of the House of Representatives wore it during their oath-taking ceremony. In recent times, as professional artisans have started weaving it with colorful threads and its use has become common in various events, people have expressed joy that lawmakers wearing it has promoted cultural harmony and social unity.
यो साम्बाहरुको चाहिँ 9वटा साम्बाहरुलाई चाहिँ त्यहाँ चाहिँ एकमुष्ट बनाएर चाहिँ मृत्युको बाटो बन्द गर्ने र बाँच्ने र दीर्घ आयुको कामना गर्दै त्यसको चाहिँ बाटो खुल्ला राख्नेलाई नै यसमा चाहिँ यो मुन्दुममा गाइन्छन्।
आफ्नो आफ्नो हिसाब किताबले आफ्नो ठाउँमा हुन्छ तर तङ्सिङ खेरामा चाहिँ के हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि जसले तङ्सिङ राख्छ उहाँकोमा एउटा यो सिलाम साकमा भन्ने चाहिँ हामीले झुन्डाउनु पर्छ।
In eastern Nepal, Silam Sakma is widely worn, It is especially common in districts with a dense Yaktung Limbu population, where it is used similarly to ceremonial scarves or badges. In recent times, many have even been able to earn a good income by producing and selling silam sakma.
Yaktung अर्थात् लिम्बू समुदायले मुन्दुमले व्यवस्था गरे अनुसार पूजाआजा गर्दा आफ्ना शुभ कार्यहरूमा चाहिँ यो प्रयोग गरि आएकोमा अहिले आएर चाहिँ विभिन्न जाति समुदाय विभिन्न क्षेत्रमा काम गर्ने व्यक्तित्वहरू र राजनीतिक क्षेत्रमा काम गर्ने उच्च व्यक्तित्वहरूले सम्मानित व्यक्तित्वहरूले पनि यसलाई प्रयोग गरेको पाइन्छ। यो अवश्य पनि सुखद कार्य हो, अवस्था हो। के अर्थमा भन्दाखेरि हरेक कुराको संस्कृति केवल यो लिम्बूहरूको मात्रै होइन, यो नेपालको हो र विश्वको हो।
Silam Sakma is seen mostly during traditional festivals and programs, and this growing practice has created employment opportunities while contributing to the preservation and promotion of indigenous culture.
Now to a growing concern in Thankuta. The historic Salleri National Forest has become a serious threat to local communities. Spanning over 800 ropanis, aging pine trees there posing high risk to nearby settlements.
The Salleri Forest, located in Thankuta Municipality, Ward number 6 of eastern Nepal, is home to pine trees that are over 150 years old. In winter, the aging trees pose a serious threat to common people traveling through the forest due to storms and forest fires. During monsoon season, the forest is plagued by risk of uprooting trees. The forest houses the Saraswati Temple, school, hospital, and other infrastructures, so hundreds of people pass through it daily. Additionally, the Thankuta Hile section of the Koshi Highway runs directly through the forest as well.
म चाहिँ अब यो मन्दिरमा तपाईको सेवा गर्छु मेरा बाउको पालादेखि 3 पुस्ता भयो। अब दैनिक त्यहाँ चाहिँ पूजाआजा गर्न जाने हुँदाखेरि अब जोखिम त असाध्यै जोखिम मोलेर जानुपर्छ। हावाहुरी पानी आको बेला
On March 16th, a powerful storm uprooted more than 150 trees on a single day. This incident caused damage to structures belonging to Nepal Army, the Ayurveda dispensary, and the local water supply system.
भएको हुनाले हामी असुरक्षित भएको हुनाले वन विस्तारै रुख काट्दै पनि जानुपर्ने, अर्कोतिर जोगाउँदै पनि जानुपर्ने, अब प्लान्टेसन गर्नुपर्ने, नयाँ बिरुवाहरू पनि रोप्दै जानुपर्ने, अब नयाँ बिरुवा रोप्ने काम पनि भइरहेछ हैन। अब होला उहाँहरुको अभिप्राय एकैताले निमेटन नपार्ने, उर्गाउँदै पनि जाने, काट्दै पनि जाने, अब तर बाटाको छेउछाउको चाहिँ पहिले काट्दै हुन्थ्यो।
Thankuta's Division Forest Office has implemented a 40-year regeneration plan. According to the officials, this regeneration policy aims to remove aging trees and plant new saplings to conserve the forest, while also reducing risk to human life.
यो सलेरी राष्ट्रिय वन चाहिँ हाम्रो धेरै पुरानो वन हो। यो चाहिँ राणाकालमै वृक्षारोपण भएर संरक्षण भइरहेको वन हो। यसको चाहिँ हामीले 40 वर्षे बाली चक्र राखेर चाहिँ कार्यजना बनाएका छौं र हरेक 10 वर्षमा हामीले त्यसलाई रिन्यु गरेर 10 वटा ब्लक बनाएर काट्ने गरेका छौं। अनि अर्को जोखिमयुक्त जुन कुनै जोखिमयुक्त भयो र मानिसको जीवधनको क्षति हुने, जनधनको क्षति हुने अवस्था आयो भने चाहिँ हामीले त्यसलाई एउटा जोखिमयुक्तमा राखेर अगाडि नै प्लान बेगर पनि काटेर मान्छेको ज्यानधन चाहिँ जोगाउने गरी काम गरिरहेछ।
However, local residents are demanding the immediate removal of hazardous trees to mitigate the danger. As the forest spreads around local settlements, including schools and hospitals, locals warn that a major disaster could occur if these high-risk trees are not managed in time.
From the forest of the east, we move to the western Nepal, Pokhara, where a conflict in the Middle East cast a long shadow in international tourist arrival, affecting the businesses. International arrivals have slowed significantly as travelers postpone or cancel their journeys, leaving vital tourism hub in a state of quite uncertainty. The impact of Middle East tensions is clearly visible across Nepal's tourism sector, particularly in Pokhara, where daily international arrivals have nearly halved compared to previous seasons. Previously, Pokhara recorded hotel occupancy rates of around 65% to 70% during this period. However, the city is currently struggling to reach even 30 to 35%, with a reported 70% spike in cancellations by international visitors. Gopi Bahadur Bhattrai, coordinator of the Pokhara visit here, said that the Middle East conflict has disrupted international flight corridors, directly affecting the city's tourism economy. March and April, typically considered ideal months for tourism in Pokhara city due to clear weather and uninterrupted views of the Annapurna and Machapuchre ranges, have instead seen a slowdown in arrivals. Despite being the peak trekking and travel season, hotel entrepreneurs in Pokhara are facing a sharp decline in visitor numbers, far below seasonal expectations. In a normal year, Pokhara's hospitality sector would be operating at full capacity. However, international tourist arrivals have dropped significantly, raising concerns among seasoned entrepreneurs.
अहिले पर्यटन व्यवसायमा धेरै नै मर्कामा छौं है यो द्वन्द्वले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ इन्टरनेशनल आउने टुरिजमहरु चाहिँ एकदमै कम हुनु भएको छ र नेशनल मात्रैले अब यो टुरिजम क्षेत्रलाई धानिराखेको अवस्था छैन अहिले हामी एकदमै मर्कामा कस्तो हिसाबले छौं भने जुन नेशनलबाट आउने टुरिजमले भन्दा इन्टरनेशनलबाट आउने टुरिजमहरुले चाहिँ राम्रो टेवा पुर्याइराख्नु भएको थियो अहिले जुन यो पूर्वी द्वन्द्वले गर्दाखेरि हामी पर्यटन व्यवसायीहरु धेरै पलायन हुने अवस्थामा छौं.
As most international travelers rely on Middle Eastern transit hub such as Doha and Dubai, the escalating conflict has forced many businesses in Pokhara to depend heavily on domestic tourists. Turning now to our national pride projects. The Sunkosi Marine Diversion was meant to be a beacon of progress, but it has hit a significant roadblock. Following reports of severe negligence, the government has scrapped the standing contract, with the site now deserted and the timeline in jeopardy. We look at what it will take to get this vital project back on track.
The construction site of Sunkosi Marine Diversion Multi-Purpose Project, a vital national pride initiative, currently sits deserted, following a major contractual breakdown. The project, designed to provide irrigation to 6 districts in the Tarai region, hit a standstill after the government terminated its agreement with the previous contractor, Patel Raman JV. The decision came after the firm showed extreme negligence, completing only 10% of the physical work, despite 61% of the contract timeline already having elapsed. With the site silent for nearly 3 months, local residents are growing increasingly anxious that the project will miss its final completion target of 2027-28 fiscal year.
यहाँ चाहिँ खण्डन गरे हुनाले फेरि अब यहाँ सत्तामा जाने नेताहरूले पनि यिनलाई फाल्दि किन काम गरेन ल्याइरहेको छ झड्यान सामान टन्न ल्याइरहेको छ काम गर्दैन यहाँ काम अब यस्तै हो एकदम सुस्त गतिले भइरहेछन् अब कामै भएको छैन उहाँहरूले काम गरेर चाहन्छन् अब 2-2.5 वर्ष जति हुन लागि उनीहरुको भएको काम भनेको यही हो यहाँको अब यो हावा फाल्ने भनेर चाहिँ भन्छन् अब यहाँ अहिले काम भएको छैन यति नै हो.
To address this delay, the project office is in the final stages of preparing a new tender. Project officials confirm that they are currently finalizing new cost estimates and evaluating previous work to bring a more reliable contractor on board for the construction of the 30-meter high dam and the powerhouse. While the dam construction has stalled, the project has seen significant success in its underground works. A 13.3-kilometer tunnel was completed over a year ago using a tunnel boring machine. The government is now racing to finalize the new contract to ensure that this critical infrastructure for Nepal's agricultural future does not remain in limbo.
Finally, a story of hope and heritage. The vibrant colors and geometric precision of Dhaka fabric are synonymous with Nepali identity. Today, this traditional craft is undergoing a modern revival. Thanks to rising demand and targeted government support, Dhaka weaving has moved from a cottage craft to a sustainable lifeline for hundreds of rural households across the country.
In Pachthar, one of the districts of Koshi province in the eastern hilly region of Nepal, women are weaving threads of tradition into fabrics of prosperity. The indigenous art of Dhaka weaving, once seen as a cultural practice, has now become a powerful source of household income. From children to elderly women, families across the district are engaged in weaving Dhaka cloth right from their homes. The attraction lies in the high market demand and premium prices that Dhaka fabric commands.
यसमा चाहिँ हामीले नयाँ डिजाइनहरु राम्रो राम्रो बुट्टाहरु सिकिरहेका छौं अब यसलाई चाहिँ हामीले आफ्नो घरमा गएर सिकाउन साथसाथै व्यावसायिक रूपमा पनि यसो अघि बढाउन सकिन्छ कि भन्ने आश छ.
As a result, hundreds of households are sustaining themselves and improving their livelihoods through this craft. Local governments have stepped forward to support this growing profession. They are providing weaving looms, training programs, and financial incentives to ensure that women can turn their skills into sustainable industries. Representatives say the initiatives are not only preserving cultural heritage but also fueling rural economic growth.
यो मौलिक पहिचान चाहिँ हाम्रो अग्रज आमा दिदी बहिनीहरु जो आदिवासी जनजातिको आमा दिदी बहिनी हुनुहुन्थ्यो उहाँहरु परापूर्वकदेखि नै ढाका खाडी लुगाहरु आफै तान लगाएर बनाएर आउनु भएको व्यवसाय गर्नु भएको त्यसलाई मौलिक पहिचानको रूपमा पनि राख्नुपर्छ र यसलाई संस्कृतिको रूपमा जगेर्ना पनि गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने हाम्रो उद्देश्य हो र यसलाई सँगसँगै आम्दानीको स्रोत पनि बनाउने व्यवसाय पनि बनाउने उद्यमी पनि बनाउने हाम्रो सोचका साथ यो काम हामीले अगाडि बढाएका छौं.
Entrepreneurs confirm that Dhaka cloth is fetching high value in the market and the skills of women artisans are being recognized accordingly. According to Dhaka businesswoman Bimala Nemang, more than 200 women are currently engaged in large-scale production, supported by over a dozen weaving industries operating in Pachthar.
एकदम धेरै महँगो भनेर चाहिँ ढाका भन्ने गरिन्छ तर अहिले धेरै बजारको मार्केट एकदम धेरै बढिरहेको कारणले गर्दाखेरि ढाका खपत भएको छ.
This surge in Dhaka weaving is more than just an economic activity. It is a credible example of women's resilience, creativity and contribution to local development. As Pachthar's women continue to weave, they are not only preserving tradition but also driving economic transformation in their communities.
Beyond the cities and the headlines, real lives continue to unfold. Stories are shaped by struggle, strengthened by resilience, and carried forward by hope. This is the hinterlands. And we will be back next week with more stories from the heart of Nepal. Do follow us on our website, nepaltelevision.com, social media handles, and YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye for now.
Nepal's festivals are like colors on a canvas. Communities celebrate occasions that are as diverse as the country itself. These festivals hold deep personal meaning for individuals, going far beyond mere celebration. They are not just events. They are emotional, cultural, and spiritual lifelines that nurture identity, community, and inner happiness. For Nepalis, every festival, whether it honors gods, ancestors, nature, or the cycle of seasons, is ultimately a celebration of life itself. Birth, life, and death are all celebrated with utmost joy and separate rituals as per the communities. It's a reminder that life, like the changing seasons, is full of both light and shadow, and each festival teaches to embrace both with gratitude.
हरेक चाडपर्वमा एउटा एउटा हैन धान रोप्दा फेरि खेतमा हामी पूजा गरेर हुन्छौं, धान थन्काउँदा हामीले हवन गरेर हुन्छौं, नुहाई खाने भनेर भनिन्छ, नवान्न प्राशनको विधानहरू छुट्टै छ। त्यो सम्पूर्ण कुराहरूले हाम्रो प्रकृतिमा पनि त्यति नै सुप्रभाव पार्छ र मान्छेको शरीरमा, मनमा र आत्मासम्म पनि यसले सुप्रभाव पार्छ, आनन्द दिन्छ, सत र चित, राम्रो आनन्द र चिरकालसम्म रहने टिकाउ आनन्द दिन्छ भन्ने मान्यताले गर्दा फेरि यो सबै चाडपर्वहरू हामी मनाइरा हुन्छौं।
Major Hindu celebrations like Dasai and Tihar unite families in devotion and joy and is celebrated by majority of Nepalis. While Buddha Jayanti, Loshar, Sakela Udhauli, Shakela Ubhauli, Maghi Shankranti or Maghi showcase the spiritual and cultural vibrancy of Buddhist, Kirat and indigenous communities. Festivals such as Indrazatra, Gaizatra and Yomari Punhi blend history with celebration. For women, Tees and Rishi Panchami serve as expressions of faith and sisterhood. And in the Tarai, Chhat embodies purity, discipline and devotion to the sun and nature.
भौगोलिक हिसाबले सानो भइकन फेरि कस्तो भने जातिको हिसाबले पनि थुप्रै ट्राइबहरू भएको, यो सबै एउटै जातिको मात्रै छैन, तर हामीका धार्मिक सहिष्णुता छ, रिलिजियस टलरेन्स भन्छौँ, त्यो विश्वलाई हामीले दिएको एउटा उदाहरण हो। हामीका हिन्दूहरूको चाडपर्व पनि बौद्धहरूले पनि मनाउँछन्, इस्लामहरूले पनि मनाइराखेका हुन्छन्। नितान्त हिन्दूहरूको जस्तो लक्ष्मी पूजाको कुरा गर्यो, दशैँकी कुरा गर्यो, यहाँ राष्ट्र प्रमुखहरू भएको बेलामा हिन्दूहरू बाहेक अन्य धर्मावलम्बीहरू पनि टीका थाप्नलाई हामीका आशीर्वाद लिने चलन छ, त्यो लिनलाई गइराखेका हुन्छन्।
Festivals here reflect its rich cultural diversity and deep sense of community. Shared laughter, music and rituals foster emotional healing and strengthen social bonds. Experts say gatherings and celebrations nurture positivity, hope and meaning.
यो त एकदमै ठुलो कस्तो कुरा रहेछ भने यो रिचार्ज गर्ने भन्छ नि, हामी गरिरहेको परम्पराबाट गरिरहेको यस्ता कार्यहरू गर्दा चाहिँ नि हामीमा के हुन्छ त स्वतस्फूर्त रूपमा हामी चाहिँ नि एकदम फेरि अब हामीलाई एउटा भित्रबाट पनि शान्ति मिल्छ, सुख मिल्छ। त्यसकारण यो चाहिँ आवश्यकै चिज हो।
Amid modernization, festivals remain vital anchors connecting people to their culture and roots. The togetherness of families, the glow of butter lamps in monasteries during Loshar, and the rhythm of dhime drums in Nevari processions all tell the same story. Nepal is a land where festivals are the very heartbeat of its people.
Annapurna Circuit Trek features in world's 10 best destinations and adventures. The trekking circuit is the choice of many trekkers as it offers both adventure along with mesmerizing view of mountain ranges. Arguably the best trekking circuit in the world, travelers get up close with dozens of mountains including the Annapurna, Dhaulagiri, Nilgiri. Annapurna Circuit ideally is a 14-day trek. The circuit passes through Lamjung, Manang, Mustang and Myagdi district, including Thorangla Pass as the highest point. Places including Thampus, Ghandruk and Poon Hill are part of this trekking circuit. The revered Muktinath shrine is also part of the circuit. Only foreigners were seen in this circuit few years back, but now domestic tourists are also flocking the area. If you are looking for a lifetime trekking experience, then pack your bags for Annapurna trekking circuit. Mardi Base Camp Trek, also part of the Annapurna circuit, is another alternative route for trekkers who can't afford time. Trekkers can be up close with mountains including the Annapurna range, Dhaulagiri, Machapuchre and Manasalu in this circuit. This 7-day circuit is attracting many trekkers for obvious reasons.
Hello and welcome to all our viewers on this special program on NTV World. The theme of the program is World-Class University in Nepal, Relevance and Feasibility. What are universities for? Are they just learning grounds, or do they contribute by producing able human resource to the economy of the country? What sort of universities are called world-class universities? What are the things that the world-class universities do that Nepal can emulate? What are the types of universities we have seen in Nepal? And what are the expectations of the students who have been enrolled in these universities? In this program today, we have an august panel, a panel that is world-renowned. May I introduce to you the panelists for today's program. Professor Jamil Salmi. Professor Jamil Salmi is a global tertiary education expert providing policy advice and consulting services to several governments, universities, multilateral banks and bilateral agencies. Welcome to the program, Professor Salmi.
Thank you very much.
Then we have Professor Suzanne Fortier. Professor Fortier is a distinguished scientist and academic leader. She was the first Francophone and second woman to lead the institution. Welcome to the show, Professor Fortier.
Thank you. Dhanyabad.
All the way from India to Singapore and China, and now as a panelist here is Professor Sriram Ramakrishna. He is internationally acclaimed material scientist, a pioneer in nanotechnology, often referred to as the modern father of nanofabrics. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We are privileged to be joined by another panelist, Mr. Padma Jyoti, distinguished industrialist, business person and a leader as well. He is the chairman of Jyoti Group of Industries. Welcome to the show, Mr. Jyoti. Also, we are joined by Engineer Birendra Raj Pandey, who is a seasoned professional with over 30 years of experience in construction and infrastructure, currently leading the Confederation of Nepalese Industries. Welcome to the show, Mr. Pandey.
Thank you.
And of course, last but not the least is Professor Rajendra Joshi, who is the president of Madan Bhandari University of Science and Technology. His career spans for 4 decades, specializing in engineering education, renewable energy, and systematic educational reform. Welcome to the show, Mr. Joshi.
Thank you.
As you see by the panelists, the discussion is going to be a very serious one, pretty academic, and what are the relevance of these university, research-based university, and what is the funding mechanism around the world. So let us start the discussion with the first segment. The first segment of our panel discussion is on the theme, Building World-Class University for Prosperity. World-class universities as knowledge hubs, they do bridge theory and practice. Universities are more than centers of learning. They are engines of productivity and economic growth. Around the world, research is conducted within universities. They have fueled breakthroughs that have driven industries forward, boosting productivity and national economies. Based on these themes, we will have our first segment, Professor Salmi. You have always advocated extensively for higher education reform, and you have worked with over 100 countries worldwide till now. Many people doubt about the feasibility of establishing a world-class university in countries like Nepal. Okay, could you share some concise examples of nations that have successfully created world-class universities?
Thank you for this important question. I come from Morocco, and when I was growing up in my country, the reference was Egypt in the Arab world, and the University of Cairo was seen as the top university in that part of the world. But today, the landscape has changed, and one of the leading universities today is in Saudi Arabia, King Abdullah University of Science and Technology, KAUST. Was created only 15 years ago, and it ranks already among the top universities. Certainly it's the top university in that region. That's one example of a new development. Another one not too far from here in Karachi, where 30 years ago the Aga Khan Foundation established the first private, non-profit private university for medical sciences, and today it has become one of the leading medical education university in the region. And perhaps finishing with another example would be Kazakhstan, where about almost 20 years ago, the government established, next to the existing public universities, Nazarbayev University, with a special act of parliament and the ambition of becoming a world-class university.
Of the 3 examples you shared, Professor Salmi, which one would be closest given the economy, given the context of Nepal?
Well, in a way, perhaps in terms of investment, the Karachi Aga Khan University would be the closest, because it was in a poorer society, and it broke away from tradition they established, I think one of the new things, that they have an examination competition which was free of public intervention. And in that way, one of the pillars of having a world-class university is to attract talent. The professors you recruit and the students who come, to have the best in the country. And by having a merit-based objective examination, they were able to move away from different practices in their country.
So in your opinion, having very sound faculties and equally talented students is important. What are the infrastructures? What about the funding in establishing a world-class university?
When I started working on understanding what made a world-class university, I identified 3 sets of factors that together make the difference. One is talent, that I've already mentioned. The second one is resources. Obviously, especially if you do leading-edge research in scientific themes where you need to buy very expensive equipment, you need resources. And you will, as I believe we're going to talk about, we need also resources to provide funding for the students who may not always come from rich families. And the third one is governance. Good governance, favorable, which, you know, academic autonomy, good leadership. These are also essential elements of a world-class university.
I go to Professor Fortier now. Just building on this particular argument, Professor Fortier, what is your perspective on need of research-based universities in countries like Nepal?
To be able to have the capacity to attract very good people as students and as professors. That is essential. You know, when we talk about the return to society of a research university and how you bring the research to society to help build the economy, the thing we always said is that the best way to transfer knowledge and technology walks on 2 feet. And whenever I would ask at my university, which had the great privilege of being one of the world-class university, to the professor, to the students first, I would ask, why are you here? They would say, because we have great professors. That's why we're here. I asked the same question to the professor. Why are you here? Why don't you move? You know, you could get a much better salary in the US than in Canada. Why are you still in Canada? They said, because of the great students. That's why we're here. So this is a very important relationship between the professors and the students.
The environment and the relationship between the professors and the research students is equally important in fostering academics within the university?
Absolutely, because the students bring new ideas, a new perspective, a perspective from their own generation, which sometimes the professors are older and don't have, or have difficulty getting a sense of where our world is today, what do we need today. The students bring that fresh perspective, and they inspire the professors.
Professor Ramakrishnan, now, world-class university also require a high level of autonomy. As Professor Salmi earlier said, one of the examples he gave was what it did best was it broke away from the interference, establishing itself as an autonomous body with a special act, as he mentioned, right? Does lack of autonomy stifle institutions like universities?
One of the key recommendations to the government is autonomy to the universities, so that the decision-making process is the most effective, because universities are not islands. They are part of the global ecosystem where the competition is from every part of the world. That means the universities have to be able to make decisions quick, faster, and better decisions, so that they do not lose time in progressing. So in other words, it's a key recommendation, and government actually implemented it, and 25 years later, National University of Singapore consistently recognized as a world-class university.
Autonomy sometimes in our part of the world, what we have seen, also leads to lack of accountability, monopoly, and waywardness, lack of good governance. That's what we have seen in our part of the world. How can that be reversed within our culture?
You're right. The autonomy sometimes could be leading to other challenges, but at the same time, the challenges should not move us away from giving the autonomy. Autonomy is necessary, But the question is, how do we make use of the autonomy? Autonomy could be supported with other thought processes, and also there are other ways available. For example, benchmarking. So the institution could be benchmarked appropriately so that they are guided. So it could be self-guided, or you could have an international panel that would guide them.
Giving autonomy and putting up a good governance within the institution.
Yes.
Is that essential?
Absolutely. Governance is also extremely important. You can
and
have
to oversee that, as you said, an esteemed panel to oversee all those things.
Exactly. And you need the panel which are experienced, they are unbiased, they are global. Because world-class university is a global university. You need a global standards. So the standards needs to be understood, internalized, and implemented. So that's why autonomy, good governance, if I may add, good funding.
Exactly. We'll come to the funding part of it later in the program. As I move on to Mr. Padma Jyoti. Mr. Jyoti, as a leading industrialist yourself, and you have been always promoting higher education in the country as well. Well, what is the relevance you see between these world-class universities and country's industrial development?
When we talk about universities and colleges, now maybe even in schools, but let's stick to colleges and universities for the moment. I think the industrialists or people who are entrepreneurs or who want to get into business, when they look at our colleges and universities, they find a couple of things very striking. Number one, I think there seems to be a lot of political interference in their administration or in their governance. So this is, of course, for many, many reasons, because in our country parties were banned. We didn't have freedom of association freely like in many other democratic countries. So perhaps we were used to forming unions or these other forums where we could vent our democratic feelings. So that probably could have been the reason because of our history. But I think now all of us know that we have a country, republic, supposed to be a very good constitution, one of the best in the world. I was also slightly involved in initial drafts. So, but after that, there is no excuse for political interference in all these sectors, whether it's trade union or in the school or in the college or student union or running of the universities. There is no excuse now. There are plenty of scope for making our political statements or political decisions in a rational way. So this was one thing we noticed, the business community. There are universities and colleges somehow seem to be victim of this political interference. When I say political, I mean party politics.
Party-based
party politics. Politics, of course, is the mother of everything. So without that, I don't think we can live in modern world.
So you mean to say that universities should be kept away from that?
Yes.
Or universities should not give their students their right to follow trade unions or, let's say, student unions?
No. I think union is another matter. I think let's start with the administration and how the universities run. It's a governance structure. So that's where I think we have to start at the top. And then I think this leads to governance. Because of this interference, the governance has not been what is expected of a union. They forget the main objective of the university or the college, or what is the objective, or what is the role of such education institution to the country or to the society. So it becomes a very mixed up situation, and that's not a very good situation, and we are not producing increasing the quality of our people who are coming out. And then I think if I may move on to another point, then many business the companies also found that the products coming out of these colleges and universities, whether they are suited for the kind of manpower or skilled manpower or skilled managers the industries need to grow and to compete worldwide these days. So even that linkage somehow seems to be missing. We are churning out many engineers, maybe many graduates, maybe MBAs, but somehow the linkage between them, what they are learning, what they train for, and what exactly the industry needs, maybe somewhere there's a break. I think envisaged is a very bold, example and bold step in our country, I must say. So we are very happy to see at least is trying to break the mold and breaking out into a new path for our higher education.
Mr. Jyoti, on a lighter note, you're hiring a CEO for one of your ventures. Would you pick a Harvard-educated CEO or, let's say, Madan Bhandari University of Science and Technology educated CEO?
CEO, I think, depends on the CEO, what kind of company. Suppose I have a hydropower company. So hydropower company, I would look for somebody who has some idea about how hydropower works and what are the risks.
So you would not distinguish, both are okay for you?
I think it should suit me, just because the name in the certificate, I don't think I put very high value, but name on the list gives you confidence. Yes, he must be very good, having gone through that rigor of that discipline and a world-class university. But I think when you...
Somewhere, still as an industrialist, you feel, having been educated in a world-class university and that culture, they will bring it to your industry.
Yes. Education and what the student has learned. We expect that he has learned the basics and he has learned, but he will have to adapt to whatever career he moves into. That will be the primary test. Final result will be his output and how he performs.
Another industrialist by the side, Mr. Birendra Raj Pandey, as the president of the Confederation of Nepalese Industry, CNI. How do you think world-class universities contribute to the innovation needs of local businesses?
If we see data, a lot of youngsters are moving out from the country seeking for the education. And last year only almost 65% of our equivalent to our national budget on education has gone out as a payment to those universities. So it's a significant amount. And if we can have something similar here in Nepal, homegrown, research, very relevant to our industries and businesses, that'll be, it's really great for the nation and the economy. And currently, what we're not just thinking about, production or capacity or things like that, but it is more like innovation, competitiveness, the process that how we do it. Things are changing very rapidly. Especially in terms of computing, IT, even in agriculture, a lot of things are changing very rapidly. And what we've seen is our curriculums, they are 5 years old, not very much matching with the need of the industry. Industries are always in a competitive mode. They're trying to adopt newer technology, growing faster and going ahead with it. And the output from our academic institutions are not keeping pace with that. So those are the critical areas that we need to improve on.
I can see you echoing what Mr. Jyoti said there about the missing linkage. If you could elaborate on the exact missing linkages that you do not find in the graduates of some of the other university or not a world-class university, specifically some of the links that you are looking for and that the graduates do not have.
Formal education system, they've got the degrees, but oftentimes when we ask them what exactly can do, and then they sometimes struggle. Exactly what skills sets they possess. And as I've said, the business and industries are moving in a very fast pace. There's definitely the gaps that we can see. That's why we're advocating that private sectors should come in forefront. Industries, they should come ahead and work in collaboration with the academic institutions like universities or technical education providers, policymakers. This is a tripartite kind of arrangement. That's why CNI, we're planning to have a platform of representing all the private sectors specifically in Tibet sector as a Tibet Industry Council, so that we can collaborate with all the stakeholders together and trying to bridge that gap of the relevance and the skill shortages for our industries. And our entrepreneurs, they can see what is the future work looks like, but what we are where we are heading to ahead of others. So that kind of information can also be incorporated in our curriculums, competency standard development and all that, so that the output are more relevant to our industries, and they're more productive. We can get more entrepreneurs out of our systems so that they can contribute to our overall industrial ecosystem.
Good. Now, I move on to Professor Joshi, who is the sole representative of a university here. Having heard all these discussions here, Professor Joshi, is this feasible in Nepal to create a university like what our panelists have envisioned here? Can you say something on how about Madan Bhandari University of Science and Technology is going ahead?
We do not have option of making it infeasible. I start with it. When there is a need for something, you have to make it feasible. People make it feasible, that's right. There is no debate about whether world-class university is needed or not needed. If we want to grow economy, if we want to create socio-political environment for growth of economy, the knowledge and technology skills all come from universities, and best is world-class universities. Because of that, we thought that this is something needed. I go back to 2016. In 2016, we organized a workshop of world-class university. The question we were trying to answer is it feasible thing? Is it crazy thing? Then we invited once again this panel, some of them, and I asked Professor Sriram, standing before Yak and Yeti Hotel, am I crazy to invite you to such a workshop? He said, absolutely not. This is the right question to be asked. And actually you are late. If countries want to prosper, they have to start right away building world-class university. So we have to make it feasible. Now, in terms of making it feasible, Professor Salmi has said that there are three components for world-class university: talent, students and teachers, then funding, then autonomy. I will reverse. The most important part is autonomy. Without autonomy, you cannot do anything. Rest will follow. And this is something very difficult to buy. We had $75 million on the table for framing an act which gives autonomy to Madan Bhandari University of Science. This failed basically. So buying autonomy, getting autonomy takes a lot of efforts, national efforts, supported by international people. Now the type of autonomy we have received has no parallel in the world. I said it proudly. So is it feasible? The most difficult thing was getting autonomy. We have autonomy. Actually we can decide anything important within 24 hours. This
So
power of
your
the
university is based on the autonomously established, and the Act gives you that autonomy. Now, regarding moving forward to being a world-class university, since these are early days for MBUST, so where do you see MBUST in the next 10 years?
We have no problem in terms of management. I declare it, absolutely no problem. The next thing which comes is attracting funding, attracting professors and students. Look at our students. They are the best. What attracts students? If you are to deliver good education, if it is able to make quick decisions which are needed for students, not waiting for few months or years. In many cases, people wait years to make any changes. Any feasible change we can make very quickly. These students came to us to empty classrooms, empty laboratories. Within 2 years, this resembles world-class university. Actually, we are saying we have clearly on the track to become world-class university. So, infeasibility is not an issue. We have one of the best laboratories in Nepal, not only in Nepal, internationally. Then when it comes to funding, we do not have good funding. We agree to that. But if you have case to sell, it's genuine case. It's needed for the country. I think if you have great ambitions, great goals, I think money will follow. So because of that, we think that it's absolutely feasible, and we do not have.
You are on the road ahead to become a world-class university. The next challenge for you, as you said, is the funding, is it? Thank you, Professor Joshi. That concludes the first part of the panel discussion that was around building world-class universities for prosperity. Welcome back to the panel discussion. We are having a panel discussion on world-class university feasibility in developing countries like Nepal. In the second part of the panel discussion, we move on to our second segment, which is about financial support to graduate students. All right, how important it is to give and provide financial support to graduate students in universities that aim to become world-class universities. As discussed earlier, research institutes are an essential components of national economy. A world-class research university is sustained by talented and diligent graduate students. And that was also seconded by the view of our panelists in the first segment. This is why leading universities in the world provide substantial financial support and scholarships to attract and retain top talent within the university, nurture them and put them to the national economy for disposal. Right. On this theme, we'll have our second segment. I'd like to start with Professor Salmi. Looking at global examples, Professor Salmi, is it possible for countries like Nepal to offer free graduate, free postgraduate education?
We have to decide for ourselves how important education is. President Abraham Lincoln said many years ago, if you think that education is expensive, how much ignorance do you want to finance? Right. In 1998, I was working in China, and I had this concept of China being a communist society. And I was surprised to hear that the government had just decided to introduce tuition fees in higher education. But they did it very selectively. They said that you have to pay tuition fees for undergraduate education, but with a strong student aid system, meaning that students coming from poor families would receive a scholarship or a student loan to be able to study. But then I was even more surprised because they said, however, graduate education for masters and PhD will remain free because it's too important for the development of China. And if you look around the world, many countries have the same reasoning, that you cannot have research without good students, masters and PhD. And in many such universities, PhD students are not considered as students anymore. They are part of the research teams working with their professor. And that's why funding them is a priority in these countries.
We have universities that are mass universities. How would universities do that in global practice? How do they manage the funds to do that? When they are autonomous, when they have to generate their own funds?
Well, it has to come from various sources. And governments is a serious element. I mentioned Kazakhstan earlier. Kazakhstan is known for its Bolachak scholarship scheme. They send hundreds and thousands of students to top universities elsewhere, to world-class universities. Brazil has done that. They had a program called Science Without Borders. China has done that. South Korea has done that. But that's very expensive. And if you have world-class universities in your own country, then it's much more cost-effective to fund the students who will go to those universities. If you want to invest in your economy, You have to invest in your people. You have to believe in them.
So it's basically the government, you mean to say?
But you can complement that by doing what MBOS has started to do, is to constitute an endowment. Harvard University, its endowment is more than the annual GDP of Nepal, which I believe is around $45 billion. Harvard's endowment is $50. So they draw on the endowment every year to finance, to complement, in that case they are private universities, but to complement the tuition fees, the research grants that they get from government. And so building up an endowment is a very good way of securing long-term funding for a world-class university.
Professor Fortier, is there an alternative to universities and research institutions providing employment opportunities to the students to complement their financial needs?
Another important element of the funding is to promote interactions between the industry and the university. When we talk about where there's a lack of connection between the two, one way to remedy that is to provide opportunity for students to do internship in the industry while they're studying. This is common practice in world-class university. How do you do that? You have to provide incentives for the private sector to bring those students in. Usually we try to leverage. We say, we'll put $1, you put $1. We'll double your investments. That's a good model. And the third way that we use is to provide incentive for other people also to contribute, particularly through philanthropy. So we have tax measure in Canada, certainly in most countries, so that if you invest in university, either from the R&D sector or as a philanthropist, you get a tax incentive. These are all very important ways to support our students in our universities. And they're all available in every country. You have to look at this as an investment that will help you build your university. There's a wonderful phrase that I learned when I was at McGill, is to pay it forward. What it means is that you had a great experience in your university. Because of that, you started your own enterprise. You made quite a bit of money, and there's tax incentive in your country to help in philanthropy. So you take part of your money and you pay it forward because the university allowed you to study with a scholarship. Then you pay back, but you pay it forward. You pay after you've made your own money. It's a wonderful way that most world-class universities have used to support students.
These are some of the models that you have seen around the world practiced
everywhere
to suffice the
around the world.
needs.
Yeah, everywhere around the world. So you have to, my colleague mentioned it, you have to invest in your people and invest with the belief, which is well substantiated, that they will be successful, they will bring economic progress to your country, and they will want to reinvest so that other students after them will have the chance to do what they were able to do.
All right. Professor Ramakrishnan, skilled graduate play a vital role in the producing productive labor. Talking about countries like Nepal, where remittance from unskilled workers is a major source in the GDP itself, what policy level interventions or structural reforms do you think can reverse this cycle?
A good proportion of GDP has remittances from Nepali diaspora. And I think one need to see in a different context. Instead of seeing that as a brain drain, it should be seen as a brain gain. I say brain gain from the example of China. I'm relatively new, but I could see last 20 years how China systematically harvested the diaspora for the progress of the country. And you could see it's now the second largest economy in the world. So we tend to generally see in a very narrow space. I think the best way to look at it is resources are needed. If they are coming through the remittances, that's fine. The question is, how policy can be fine-tuned so that it is incentivized for those in abroad, the diaspora, to plug into the national development, and also they could contribute much more effectively because they have the networks, they have an understanding of different systems, and they also have their experience. So all those three things are necessary for a world-class university. Can I step back and I would say, why would you need this? Because we all need to recognize world is fundamentally going through structural changes. It's a massive structural changes. And the competition for high quality talents, science-based innovation and products. This is the space greatest competition is happening. I can state the country names, USA and China. These two number one, number two economies primarily focusing on innovation-based growth, but that is based on high-quality people or skilled labor, skilled people, and scientific research-based innovation. They are two important elements. Countries like Nepal, actually you have no choice. The reason is, if you are not progressing, catching up, you will be left behind for sure. So it's not anymore a question of, is a choice? I don't think it's a choice. Rather, catch quickly. It's like the AI. AI train is moving, and it has to be embedded into various things that is going on here so that you can benefit from that. So to bring back to the main point is policy adjustments could be made so that these remittances could be used towards how further innovation could be accelerated, how the diaspora should be seen as actually the minds outside are willing to contribute to Nepal.
So that's a nice suggestion. We can build up a system as such where the remittance itself goes to developing research-based graduates probably, and somehow the policy level reforms and restructuring should come there.
Could I just add one more? Many of these economies now, they have a tech-based startups, and these tech-based startups, for them to even ideate and progress, you need ideas, you need people who have the experience as well as resources. I think that's exactly the space where you are an advantage. So I think Nepal should see this as an advantage and then think innovatively. You don't have to follow other country. You find what works for you, but goal is to make sure that is multiplied.
Now I come to Mr. Jyoti. Do you think fostering entrepreneurship within universities and research institutions, they encourage young people to stay within the country, find employment opportunities well within the country?
In Nepal, especially universities like envisaged, it's a new experiment and also very encouraging. We had a meeting with a group of students, graduate students. 3 of them have graduated, but others are continuing. They will graduating in the years to come. Then I found that some of them have already started thinking, okay, I have done my research on this subject. How can I become an entrepreneur, open my company, and become a business person or entrepreneur after my college? How is my invention or whatever finding will help me, and how can it be protected, or how can I get help as a startup? I think in Nepal, as we have heard and we have learned, we are still grappling with the very, very basic survival, subsistence issues, right from the illiteracy, primary school level, health, people are sick, and this all, of course, this is essential. This has to be the first step. But I think in this process, we are forgetting investing for the future. We are just handling the present illness, present poverty, present situation, somehow trying to manage it. But at the same time, that's where the vision comes in. The political or our people or the government, they also have to invest in future. They have to keep an eye on the future, not only deal with the present day to day. So this is where I think university like this come in. So I think they have to invest in future, and this one of the best ways of investing in future is this. And when I say world class, I don't mean we are going to do research on Mars or the galaxies. No, it was about mushrooms. It was kiwis. It was bamboos. It was diseases in those forests around us. So, but even there is world class. We have to be world class, so that we have to be step forward, and we have to be best in mushroom, or we should have the best knowledge about the kiwis or the bamboos. No, that's what world class means, I think, in context of Embust. And also this research has to lead to some economic benefit for the country ultimately. So that's, I think, the aim of Embust.
Mr. Pandey, coming to you, as Mr. Jyoti also said, as a business leader, he must have better ideas on this one. Fostering entrepreneurship within universities, a way to keep our youth in the country. That's one part of my question. Also, the second question to you, how to strengthen research capacity in universities? Is there any specific policy reform or intervention that you would like to see to encourage universities promoting researchers?
Yeah, thank you. In overall industrial ecosystem, this innovation, new ideas coming up, and the entrepreneurship, the role of it is very critical. And we at CNI, we have been trying to promote this activity all the time. We organize Startup Fest, we have incubation centers in our provinces, work with the government on a daily basis, trying to define what startup is, how the ecosystem is built, and with our Younger Entrepreneurs Association within CNI, CNIYF we call it, we've been very active in promoting that sort of activity and the ideas with concerned stakeholders, and also organizing events like Startup Fest, trying to motivate the youngsters, who have the idea, the zeal of performing and coming into the industrial ecosystem, how we can support and promote them. We've also identified how financially we can support them, what mentors we can put in incubation system and all that. So we are very much working on that part. Though the entrepreneur ecosystem, the startup ecosystem is not built yet in full form, but still we are on that way. And the government is also supporting by providing very low cost finance to the startup companies. So that's there that we are working on. Earlier I just mentioned that industries and the academia should work in tandem. That's very, very important. And in order to do that, industries, or as an association, they have certain issues or problems within their sector, and that can be researched and probably find solutions to that issues through the academic institutions, and where there can be a collaboration between the industry association and the university, as well as there are enterprises, big business houses. They will have specific ideas or issues within their system, and they want that to be resolved. So that association can also be established, and we can see some of that is already happening in Embust, in mushrooms and kiwis. So that kind of real industry issues and problems tackled by the academic institutions, students there. There's a win-win situation, and some funding can come up. And we also have CSR funding, where if there's a favorable policies from the government, industries can also support the R&D endeavors through the academic institutions. And there might be, and the industries, what private sector, they're seeking for some kind of incentive mechanism, maybe a tax rebate, or of a sheer recognition, in informal occasions. These are the industries supporting R&D endeavors, so let's recognize them. So some kinds of incentives or recognition, those also that also motivate industries to come forward and invest in such kind of endeavors.
Do you get any proposals from other universities as such at CNI on your involvement or collaboration in promoting researches?
Yeah, in recent time it's been an increasing trend actually. We've signed MOUs with various universities, including Kathmandu University, and some new universities are also coming up, and other technical faculties of the existing universities, they're also coming up saying that let's have close coordination, identifying the competency standards and probably drafting the curriculums, providing them on-the-job trainings or apprenticeship programs, so that and that's what we really want, to work very closely. And also we're also trying to make our industries and partners aware that the private sector also has to come forward with the academic institutions to work towards the direction.
So that's a very good insight, that this is an increasing trend and universities and industrial, let's say, organizations are collaborating in future as well. Now I go to Professor Joshi. Has Madan Bhandari University of Science and Technology adopted something different in funding graduates and postgraduates?
Madan Bhandari University of Science and Technology is research-based university. To begin with, our cornerstone of strategy is financing students. I am not lobbying at this stage for financing all graduate students in Nepal. We have to be selective. Our proposal at this stage is to finance research-based graduate programs. In our case, it's not only PhD which is research-based. All master's degree programs are research-based, whereby 60% of credit goes to research. All students do research from day one. As repeatedly it has been communicated to you, there is intense competition for bright students all over the world. Professor Suzanne Fortier used to say in our board, if you do not give incentive, they will come to us.
Yes, true.
So unless we are able to give a package, our package is very modest. But if we fail to give that package, no bright student will remain in Nepal. So we didn't think whether that's feasible or not to begin with. We said that's our policy. We have to get money for that. What we have been doing now is, for master's degree students, not all, for whoever we can, we are paying 12,000 rupees per month for 24 months. Scholarship. For PhD students, 20,000 rupees per month for 36 months. In addition to that, tuition fee waiver. So financial assistance on PhD students is 1.17 million rupees. 1.17. No,
that's a significant investment compared to our economy.
That's right. Then for each master's degree student is 588,000 rupees. We do not have option of not having it. So we started giving it. We have earned around 93 million rupees on our own without charging fees basically, selling electricity and doing a lot of other things. In addition to that, there are philanthropic donors. Many philanthropic donors are financing students, as you have said, that's the most attractive part of doing. US-based Everest Fund of Science and Technology has already funded around 10 students fully. Then there are a couple of industries which have started financing students. In addition to that, the savings or the earning we have made, we are plowing back for funding students. So far, we have already committed 41 million rupees plus for students, out of which we have already paid close to 20 million rupees. So our belief is that there is no way other than finding resources. We have been very patient about finding resources, and more students, donors are coming financing. I think because the cause is noble.
That demands a big round of applause, because the system that MBUST has adopted is attracting even philanthropists.
So the cause is noble. I think we will find money, and I would like to advocate with this panel also. Please fund MBUST. It is financing future of Nepal.
Can you just shed light on the exact financing models that you have adopted to generate fund to accommodate all the costs that you have earlier said?
Oh, yes. First of all, at this stage, all our financing for capital costs are coming from the government. When we started our university, we didn't know how much financing will come. We started with 5.6 million rupees of commitment. You know, that's tiny. We need hundreds of millions of dollars to build world-class university. But we thought that if we keep continuing, work hard, money will come. Don't try to get all money you need at the beginning. No one is going to commit without looking at the results. So far, money for capital costs are coming from the government. Very generous contribution. It's over 230 million rupees already for a new university. But we need much more. Probably 2-3 times the money we have already got. We believe we will get from there or from philanthropists. Philanthropists is a little difficult. But in terms of recurrent cost, the most pressing part is really financing students. If we are to finance 200 postgraduate students, graduate students, meaning 50 PhD and 150 master's degree, which is a tiny enrollment of 200 per year, 60 million rupees per year. So we are on the way towards getting more and more funding. Apart from begging, we have to prove that we can contribute to economic development. If we fail to do that, our discourse would not matter. Nobody is going to hear us after a couple of years. Our aim is, with every graduate, we will produce something. We have 65 students, 3 recently graduated. If we came up with 62 products within the next 2-3 years, I think it will start clicking. People will start to see value for money and people will start generating. Yes, there is role for philanthropists. There are good people. They have always been there, there will be. But you cannot eat philanthropy. You have to keep delivering. So our motto is deliver, work hard for innovation.
Professor Joshi, how certain you are? You talked about the investment that you are putting on one particular student. How certain you are at the end of the graduation that your student would also not join the hordes of those who fly abroad to seek greater future?
No, you don't ask this question to our graduates, but before you have asked my question, our strategy is not producing job seekers, but producing job creators. That's our
fantastic.
motto.
The university is producing job creators, not job seekers. Fantastic.
If every student graduating from our university has already product in hand, what will happen? Either some industries will grab him or her, or he or she will open a private enterprise. And all our students are ready to do that. As Padmajyoti sir already said yesterday, people are already starting to ask questions. How can we start enterprise? How patents will be distributed among students, faculty and university? So we are on that path.
Wonderful discussion for the second segment of this panel discussion as well. That concludes the second part of the panel discussion that looked into the funding part of a world-class university. All right, in the last part of the first segment of the program, we'll be having questions from the audience. The audience itself is full of academicians, graduates and postgraduate students.
I'm Regina Maske, Professor, Air Pollution Expert from the Tribhuvan University. My question is for probably Professor Rajendra Joshi. I come up with the pollution taxes we are giving from the petroleum and also now the green taxes which have been already in the government I would say in the bank, government bank or government depository for so many amounts of money, but it cannot be used for the air pollution.
What you have witnessed is happening with many sectors. Government sometimes looks like a black box. Money goes in but does not come out. So it has happened not only with environmental tax, it is happening with CSR also. For example, there is a provision for tax deductibility for the CSR donations that make from their profit, which is set aside for CSR. But government not implementing that decision, meaning one act is being contradicted by another act, and at present corporate agencies do not have incentive for donating to universities. Now, how can we make this happen? Implementing government norms or acts through lobbying, nothing else. You have to start talking about it, starting loudly, making it clear. More and public have to accept this logic. Our voice may not have been convincing enough or loud enough. Talk louder, make evidence-based cases for giving out that money. I think that's the only way.
I'm Suresh Tungel, semiconductor technologist. My question goes to Professor Salmi. Having heard you say different aspects of the world-class university, my question is, what do you prioritize in the context of Nepal, in the context of reimbursed, whether it's funding, the quality, students, faculties, or innovation ecosystem, or the academia-industry partnership? What do you prioritize the most to be considered to make world-class university dream a success?
If I were to pick one, assuming that the preconditions are in place that we talked about in the first parts of this conversation, we have talented professors and students, we have resources, we have good governance, autonomy, and accountability. If this is in place, that I would choose strong university-industry linkages, which would take several forms. We have mentioned some of them, is making sure that the research work that university is focusing on is relevant to industry. And when we use industry, it's both firms and the local community, the local economy. That the topic is not the theoretical, but it's really focused to problems that the country, that the industry face, and that you want to solve together.
Thank you. Fantastic to all our panelists for answering the questions from the audience. This concludes the first part of the program, where we discussed about the feasibility and relevance of a world-class university in Nepal.
The US military had said it will block all Iranian ports on Monday after talks between the warring sides in Pakistan collapsed, with President Donald Trump blaming the Islamic Republic's refusal to abandon its nuclear ambitions. US Central Command added it will not impede ship sailing through the Strait of Hormuz to or from other countries. Trump on social media has announced he will blockade the strategic Strait of Hormuz trading route that he has been demanding Tehran fully reopen after his vice president J.D. Vance left negotiations with Iranian delegates delegation in Islamabad on Sunday. As negotiating teams flew out, mediator Pakistan said it would keep facilitating their dialogue and has called on both sides to honor the fragile 2-week ceasefire struck last week that experts say could be put at risk by any maritime military blockade. In the meantime, US President Trump says that he believes Iran was in very bad shape and very desperate, adding that Iran will not be allowed to obtain a nuclear weapon. He further claimed that talks had collapsed following negotiations in Pakistan, after which the US military announced plans to impose a blockade on Iranian ports within hours.
I think Iran is in very bad shape. I think they're very desperate. We had a meeting that lasted 21 hours. We understand the situation better than anybody, and Iran's in very bad shape. Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. Will not have. There is no way that they're going to get. They still want it, and they made that clear the other night. Iran will not have a nuclear weapon.
Meanwhile, the president of the European Commission has condemned the enormous impact of the war in Iran on the European Union's economy, while stressing the unity among the member states in overcoming this crisis.
Once again, the Middle East has been engulfed in war, and these past 6 weeks have reminded us that peace cannot be taken for granted. In recent days, it seemed as if a pause was emerging. A ceasefire has been announced. You all witnessed that. Allow me to say a word of gratitude to Pakistan for the important role they have played to get to this point. But we also know that negotiations have been stalled now, and we have to see how things go on.
Iran's parliament speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghaliga, who led Iranian delegation to Islamabad, says the country will not surrender under threat, and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps says military vessels approaching the strait will be dealt. Oil prices surged while stocks sank on Monday after US-Iran peace talks fell apart and Donald Trump announced a blockade of the strategic Strait of Hormuz, adding to fears of energy supplies from the Middle East. Oil prices, which tumbled last week after the United States and Iran agreed to a 2-week ceasefire, jumped at around 8%, with both contracts topping $100 a barrel. Brent crude, the global benchmark for the oil prices, jumped to $102.30 a barrel, while West Texas Intermediate rose by 8.7% to $104.94. Meanwhile, equities fell across Asia, with Tokyo, Hong Kong, Seoul, and Mumbai off at least 1%, while Shanghai, Sydney, Singapore, and Jakarta were also down. Wall Street futures also slipped, starting the week on a subdued note. Furthermore, with inflation fears reviving, investors are now bracing for central banks such as the European Central Bank and Bank of England tilting towards raising rates in a sharp reversal. Viktor Orban's 16-year rule has come to an end, and a system widely criticized as an electoral autocracy has collapsed after being defeated by a 45-year-old former party insider who persuaded a majority of Hungarians to vote for change. "We did it," Peter Magyar told a crowd of cheering supporters beside the river Danube, overlooking Budapest's magnificent parliament on the other side. Preliminary election results, based on more than 98% of counted votes, put his Desha party on course for an extraordinary 138 seats, with Orban's Fidesz on 55 and the far right, Our Homeland, on 6. The landslide will not only allow Magyar to overturn Orban's increasingly unpopular domestic policies, but reset Hungary's global relationships. Orban has been a close partner of both U.S. President Donald Trump, earning an in-person appearance from U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance in the final week of the campaign, and Russia's Vladimir Putin, and he had become a big thorn in the side of the EU and Ukraine. Magyar, on the other hand, stood on a platform of distancing Hungary from Russia in favor of more cordial ties with the EU and Ukraine. Magyar has promised to reverse Orban-era changes to education and health, tackle corruption, restore the independence of the judiciary, and kill off the widely loathed system of patronage known as NER that helped enrich party loyalists and squander state resources. Zohran Mamdani addressed a crowd of supporters on the occasion of his first 100 days in office as mayor of New York, using the milestone to highlight his administration's priorities and reaffirm his commitment to campaign promises. Speaking at a public gathering, Mamdani framed his leadership around accountability and delivery, emphasizing a results-driven approach aligned with his political platform.
We will lower costs, repave the road, shovel snow from the street, and return dignity to working people's lives. And to the cynics, you know what? We're going to fill your potholes too. Because when socialists make promises, we go after it and get it. So let us look forward to the next promises we will keep.
The speech comes as a symbolic moment often used by political leaders to assess early performance and set the tone for remainder of their term. Mamdani pointed to initial efforts undertaken his first months in office while signaling that further policy initiatives are expected to follow. While he did not specify new measures during the address, the mayor indicated that his administration will continue pursuing its stated goals with a focus on translating campaign commitments into intangible outcomes. The event also underscored ongoing support among his political base as backers gathered to mark the milestone and hear his vision for the months ahead.
A battered wooden trunk preserved within a family for more than a century in the United States has revealed an unexpected historical treasure. 76-year-old retired teacher Bill McFarland had kept the trunk for 20 years without knowing it contained early silent film reels inherited from his great-grandfather, a rural Pennsylvania film exhibitor. McFarland said the family had no knowledge of the contents.
We picked the trunk up, my wife and I drove down to Culpeper, Virginia, and wheeled them up to the door. Kelly and Jason Evans Groth came and picked them up, and I could tell right away that they were excited to see these, even before they knew what they were, which was so gratifying that finally somebody thought they were valuable and would take a look at them. And then the rest is what would you say, the excitement of finding a film that actually was thought lost.
After a failed attempt to sell the reels, McFarland brought them to the U.S. Library of Congress's National Audiovisual Conservation Center in Culpeper in the southern state of Virginia. Archivists discovered a lost 1897 short by French cinema pioneer Georges Méliès hidden among them.
On a September morning, we were informed that we were getting a collection that was coming from Michigan it arrived in a literal treasure chest. The family, I think this was the great-grandson of William Delisle Frisbee, had these films. They were passed down through the generations, and they had been keeping them in there.
The discovery adds a rare missing piece of the early history of cinema preservation.
Ukraine is producing approximately 1,500 interceptor drones per day, its foreign minister had said, underscoring the country's expanding domestic defense manufacturing capacity. The production figure reflects efforts to strengthen military self-reliance as Ukraine continues to develop and deploy locally produced battle-tested weapons system. Officials say the increase in output is part of the broader strategy to reduce dependence on foreign military supplies while responding to ongoing security challenges. The emphasis on interceptor drones highlights their growing role in modern warfare, particularly in countering aerial threats and enhancing battlefield defense capability. Officials say scaling up domestic production is critical to sustaining operations and adapting to evolving battlefield demands. The expansion also reflects increased investment in Ukraine's defense sector and innovation in drone technology.
Wetlands formed by melting snow in eastern Turkey's Kars province have begun attracting migratory birds as winter gives way to spring. Known for its long and harsh winters, the place is now seeing its landscape transform with newly formed wetlands filling with bird life. At Kafkas University's campus, water-covered land has become home to a variety of wild birds, including coots, storks, and mallards. Each year, migratory birds return to the area in spring, finding suitable suitable conditions for shelter and breeding. Striking scenes have emerged as ruddy shell ducks swim and occasionally clash in the water, set against a backdrop where patches of snow still cover the ground.
The first humanoid robot football tournament for Beijing middle school students kicked off, using embodied AI competitions as a new platform to foster young people's innovation skills and technological literacy. The tournament began with a 3-on-3 exhibition match in which robots wearing yellow and blue jerseys dribbled, passed, and shot with coordinated movements. At one point, a defender from the yellow team successfully scored, drawing cheers from the audience. Behind the robots' moves were student programmers who fine-tuned codes to enhance the machine's visual recognition and motion control. The tournament, running through July, will bring together teams from both Beijing and surrounding, encouraging students to engage in AI practices through coding, hardware debugging, and tactical collaboration. The event also establishes a collaborative mechanism integrating schools, universities, research institutes, and tech enterprises, aiming to turn cutting-edge technologies into accessible educational experiences.
An international celebration of culture and diversity took place in Turkey's Antalya as students from 42 countries gathered for the International Culture Festival. Hosted by Akdeniz University, the festival turned the campus into a vibrant meeting point of global cultures. Students brought elements of their own traditions to Antalya, offering visitors a unique cross-continental experience. The event featured colorful displays of traditional clothing, cultural artifacts reflecting the history of different nations, and a wide variety of performances. Visitors also had the opportunity to test authentic traditional dishes from the participating countries. The festival created a lively and festive atmosphere, highlighting cultural exchange, unity, and friendship among the nations. The 22nd edition of the Hadith Nights Festival has been launched in Saudi Arabia's Farashan Islands. Held in the Jazan region, the week-long event features cultural heritage and artistic centered on the traditional Hadith fishing season, a long-established maritime practice in the islands. The festival highlights the seasonal arrival of Hadith fish, which are traditionally caught in coordinated community fishing activities that have been part of local life for generations. Participants use nets and natural barriers to guide fish shoals towards the shore in a structured communal effort. Authorities say the event aims to preserve and promote the region's maritime heritage while supporting tourism and local economic activity. The Hadith Festival, formally established in 2005, continues to draw residents and visitors each year as a symbol of the island's cultural identity.
Thousands of revelers flooded Silom Road in Bangkok to mark the start of Songkran as authorities managed large crowds gathering for one of the country's biggest annual celebrations. The Thai New Year festival, known for its large-scale water fights, drew both local and tourists to the capital's commercial district, where participants armed with water guns and buckets drenched one another along packed street corridors. Officials had earlier designated sections of Silom Road as controlled celebration zones, aiming to balance public safety with tourism-driven festivities. Security personnel and emergency services were deployed across key areas to monitor crowd flow and respond to incidents, while traffic restrictions were imposed to accommodate the influx of visitors. Authorities also reiterated guidelines on water uses and public conduct during the celebrations. Songkran is a major economic driver for Thailand's tourism sector, with businesses expecting a surge in spending across hotels, restaurants, and retail. Despite concerns over crowd management and safety, officials say the strong turnout reflects a continued rebound in travel demand during the holiday period.
A majestic destination blessed by cultural, religious, historic and natural diversities. Nepal is the country of Mount Everest and the birthplace of Lord Gautama Buddha. Karnali is synonymous to Nepal. One can experience the diversity of Nepal by visiting Karnali province. It is a must-go destination for those who want to experience the real Nepal. Karnali, that represents Nepal's age-old civilization, is in itself mesmerizing. The province has immense tourism potential with its unique natural, religious, cultural, archaeological and historic diversity. The famous tourist destinations in the province have played an important role in representing Nepal at the international level. Tourism can be the base for prosperity of Karnali region based on its immense prospects. Lakes, water bodies and famous religious sites are the major attractions for tourists in this province. Rara Lake, Sefoksundu Lake, Bulbule Lake, Chayanath, Dai Lake, Sinja Valley, Humla. This is Rara. Rara is the largest lake in Nepal. The lake is situated at Chayanath Rural Municipality of Mugu District in the Rara National Park. The unique lake is not just known for the different species of rare fishes and the musk ducks, but also for the changing color as per the climatic condition. Many foreign tourists come here to witness the camouflage of this majestic lake. a virgin destination a few years back. Now, more than 50,000 tourists flock the Rara Lake every year, and the number is constantly on the rise. Land and air are the two means to reach Rara Lake. You can reach Rara in a day from Kathmandu by air. From Trivandrum International Airport, Kathmandu to Nepalganj, and another flight from Nepalganj to Talcher Airport in Mugu is the easiest option. However, from Talcher, it is another 3 hours uphill walk to reach the breathtaking Rara Lake. If you choose land travel, it might take up to 3 days. A day's travel from Kathmandu to Surkhet, an overnight stay. Manma, the district headquarters of Kalikot, from Surkhet, an overnight stay, and on the third day you can reach the Rara Lake. You need not walk if you choose this route for Rara Lake. Humla is a very remote Himalayan district of Nepal bordering Mugu. It has great touristic importance. Many pilgrims who want to go to the mythical Kailas mountain via Mansarovar take the journey via Humla district. Tourists, mainly Indian pilgrims, travel to Mansarovar, one of the largest pure water bodies at the highest altitude in the world, for religious purposes. This is the shortest and the most convenient route for the pilgrims. Most of the pilgrims traveling to Mansarovar choose air trip up to Simikot of Humla from Nepalganj. From Simikot, helicopter trip up to Hilsa, from where they enter Chinese autonomous region of Tibet. One day's drive from entering Tibet, the pilgrims reach Mansarovar. The Kimi Valley of Humla is another new tourist destination in the district. Ancient idols of archaeological importance and the monasteries have given it a new name, the Valley of Monasteries. These priceless statues, sculptures, and artifacts are the major attractions in the valley. Majority of the tourists visiting Karnali are the pilgrims from India. Culturally, the people of the Karnali region believe in multi-deity worship, but majority pay homage to their ancestral deity, the master god. The famous ritual of worshipping 12 master deities has become a popular subject for researchers and tourists alike. Karnali is a majestic land, naturally as well as culturally. It has religious and cultural heritages in abundance. It offers attractions for tourists of varying interests. Somewhat deprived in education, health, and employment, Karnali's tourism potential, due to its unique and diverse nature, geography, religion, culture, history and archaeology, is unexplored. Many potential tourist destinations have yet to be explored in this region. So far, 101 destinations in the region have been branded as of touristic importance. Of the 101, 13 are under federal government, 9 under province government, and 79 under local levels. Karnali might lack top-class infrastructures including roadways, hotels or communications, but many destinations attract adventure tourists. Likewise, medicinal herbs like Yarsagumba, Kali Marsi paddy, millet and barley fields attract tourists when in full bloom. Some of the best organic dishes on offer you might find Kali Marsi paddy, honey, broad beans, dry apple, marfa, barley, sip wool products as the gifts of Karnali. Whitewater rafting in the 5th best river in the world, Karnali, and very tall and majestic Kanjirova, Patarasi and Sisne mountains, open for expedition, challenge mountaineers and explorers alike. Karnali is also known as the origin of civilizations, including language, literature, art and culture. It's a pure and revered land. It has a lot to offer to researchers and explorers. Surkhet, the provincial headquarters of Karnali, is the gateway to most of the tourist destinations. Karnali Highway connects some of the destinations including Kotgadi, Panchadeval, Bilaspur, Mahabu area in Dailik. Pachal waterfall in Kalikot, Sinja Valley and the Dul Monastery of Jumla, and Rara Lake of Mugu. Very few destinations of Mugu and Jumla have road access. On the other hand, many budget travelers are not encouraged to traveling in Karnali as it is relatively expensive due to unavailability of road network. It is a must-go destination for those who want to experience the real Nepal.
Nepal has numerous places and monuments of historical, archaeological, religious, cultural, and natural significance. Among them, one is Bodhanath Stupa that lies in the northeast of Kathmandu. This world-famous stupa is the property of ancient arts and culture. It is also the property of Buddhist civilization.
Bodhanath Stupa संसारकै एउटा बौद्ध मार्गीहरूको आस्थाको केन्द्रबिन्दु हो र बौद्धनाथ स्तूपलाई हामी बौद्ध महाचैत्य, च्यारोङ खसु छोड्तेन, खासा चैत्य र खासी चैत्य विविध नामले हामी यसलाई चिन्ने गर्दछौं र यसको आफ्नै महत्त्व छ, विशेषता छ, गरिमा छ.
This region, spread in about 7,630 square meter area, is about 7 kilometers far from Kathmandu Darbar Square. It is about 100 feet in radius and has a height of about 141.8 feet.
प्राचीन कालदेखि नै जुन अहिले काठमाडौँ छ, पुरानो बस्ती जतिमा चाहिँ सबै बहाल र बहिलहरू छ जहाँ वज्राचार्य र शाक्यहरू बौद्धहरूले चाहिँ उहाँहरू बस्नुहुन्छ र त्यो गुम्बा सञ्चालन गरिराख्छ. त्यो बहाल र बहिलको देश भएकोले नै होला सायद तिब्बतमा चाहिँ बाल्युल नै भन्छ.
Its date of construction is not yet exactly ascertained. However, some theories based on some myths, chronology, and some written scriptures of Guru Padmasambhava are popular.
बौद्धको जुन हामीले पुरानो सम्बन्ध, पुरानो मान्यताहरूलाई खोतल्दै जाने हो भने च्यारोङ खस्योर भनेर त्यसको चाहिँ छुट्टै अलग्गै त्यो कसरी निर्माण भयो भन्ने लिखित रूपमा शास्त्रीय भाषामा लेखेको अहिले तिब्बती भाषामा नि भनेको छ, तर त्यो प्योर तिब्बती मात्रै नभएर त्यो शास्त्रीय भाषा हो. त्यो चाहिँ हिमाली भेगका जति पनि अरुणाचल, भुटानदेखि लिएर माथि मङ्गोलियासम्म तिब्बत, चाइनाका चाहिँ यो तु उइगुर भन्ने जुन भेग र सिचुवानसम्म अहिलेको तिब्बत मात्रै नभएर तिब्बतभन्दा माथिल्लो उच्च जुन तिब्बतको गान्सु प्रान्तको मुनितिरको भागसम्म पनि त्यही भाषा प्रयोग गर्छ. त्यो भाषामा चाहिँ हामीले बाल्युल भन्छ. बाल्युलभित्रको पनि यो बौद्धलाई विशेष गरेर चाहिँ ज्यारोङ खस्योर भन्ने गर्छ.
The stupa, which is the largest stupa in the world, is believed to be constructed with the remains of Kashyapa Buddha in it. This stupa, also considered as the symbol of Trikal Buddha's heart, harbors thousands of devotees and visitors every day. Furthermore, with the enlistment of the stupa in the UNESCO's World Heritage List, its fame has skyrocketed. Despite the fact that majority of residents around the stupa are from Tamang community, there are also people from other communities like Newar, Sherpa, Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Tibetans, and so on. This very feature symbolizes unity and diversity.
तिनै कालका बुद्धहरूको चित्तको प्रतीक हो, अर्थात् भूतकाल, वर्तमानकाल र भविष्यत्कालका बुद्धहरूको चित्तको प्रतीक रूपमा यसलाई लिने गरिन्छ.
The history of Bodhanath Stupa. The history of its construction is still mysterious. However, different myths, chronicles regarding its establishment are popular. As per the scripture of Guru Padmasambhava, Bodhanath is called Jarung Khashor in Tibetan language.
स्तूपाको जुन प्राचीनता ऐतिहासिकता अझै पनि इतिहास चाहिँ स्पष्ट रूपमा किटाइन कसैले अंशु वर्माको चाहिँ अस्तुर राखेर बनाएको पो हो कि भन्छन्। लगभग 8औं 9औं शताब्दी ताकाको कुरा हो त्यो। अहिले हामीसँग भएका इतिहासका जुन भनाइहरू कथनहरू लिखित दस्तावेजहरुमा हामीले अहिलेसम्म भेटिएको त छैन, तर पनि नेपालका इतिहासकारहरूले कतै कतै त्यो कुरा उल्लेख गरिएको छ। फाबसिङमुन भन्ने यो जुन बँदेल वर्षमा भनेको तत्त्व सम्बन्धको इलिमेन्टल एस्ट्रोलोजी एस्ट्रोनोमीको यो अथवा यो जुन खगोल शास्त्रको जुन सिद्धान्तको आधारमा पनि यो दुवै स्तूपा ज्यारोङ खसर र स्वयम्भू नमो बुद्धका जुन आधारहरू हेर्दा तिब्बतमा बौद्ध धर्म फैलिनु भन्दा अगाडि नै बनेको हुनुपर्छ भन्ने चाहिँ मलाई चाहिँ त्यो विश्वास छ।
According to a myth, an angel named Purnima Gangchungma was born in earth as a punishment for stealing flour in heaven. She was born in a place in Nepal as Jajima, a daughter of poultry farmer. Later, when she grew up, she got married to a horse trader. After the birth of a son, the horse trader died. She then got married to a pig trader. After the birth of a son, the pig trader too died. Then after, she married a dog trader. He too died after the birth of a son. Finally, she got married to a poultry farmer. He too died after the birth of a son. The mother of 4 sons then got involved in poultry farm and amassed a bigger fortune. After her sons got married, she still had a bigger chunk of wealth, and she decided to devote herself in religious rites. Then a thought of establishing a stupa was emerged in her mind. She then pleaded the king to allot some land to make the stupa. The king responded to her demand positively. However, a widow willing to perform a larger kind of pious work was intolerable to the wealthy people of that community. They then went to the king, pleading him to stop the project. Since the king had already promised her, he denied going as per their request. Due to this reason, the word Kashwar was added to the name, which means slipped promise. And finally, it became Jarong Kashwar.
झारुङ भनेको गर्न मिल्छ कार्य गर भनेको खासोर भनेको हाम्रो मुखबाट शब्द फुस्किनु राजाले वचन दिनु भनेको त्यो कार्य गर भने राजाले वचन दिएको हो भन्ने चाहिँ पुस्तकमा छ उल्लेख छ स्पेशली हाम्रो यो वज्रयानको धर्म वज्रयान बुद्धिस्टको चाहिँ यहाँ जड भनौं न कार्य कर्म सबै झारुङ खासोर चाहिँ मुख्य हो
In Tibetan language, Ja means a year of the bird. The construction was said to be initiated and ended in the same year of bird after 12 years. So it is believed to be called Cherong Kashur. Jajima died 4 years after the start of the project. Then her 4 sons continued the project. Due to their pious work, those 4 sons are reincarnated as Holy King Trisong Duchen, great Buddhist preacher Shanta Rakshit, Guru Padmasambhava, and religious minister Bami Thiser in Tibet, and had worked for the establishment of Buddhism according to a myth.
हिमालय क्षेत्रमा भुटान लद्दाख सिक्किम टिबेट भुटान मंगोलिया सबैतिर यो वज्रयानको प्र्याक्टिस चाहिँ यो वज्रयानको परम्परा धर्म चाहिँ त्यो कारणले गर्दा यो हामी फैलिएको हो भनेर हामी सबैलाई यो चाहिँ थाहा छ हजुर
According to a belief, Bodhanath Stupa was constructed in around 5th century. It is said that the stupa was discovered in the era of Lichavi king Shivadev. Some Buddhists believe that, like Swayambhunath, Bodhanath was also self-created. According to a chronicle written by Daniel Wright, the stupa was constructed by King Manadeva I, which was started in 464 AD and completed in 505 AD. It was later destroyed by Mughal king and later reinstructed. and later reconstructed. Bodhanath is the world's biggest Buddhist stupa. It is coated with thousands of grams of gold. Water is filled in the stupa's pond in every 12 years, and in every 12 years there is a carnival to observe the Bodhanath pond. During the carnival, thousands of Buddhist devotees, either local or foreign, visit the spot to see the pond and take the water out from the pond. It is believed that whosoever sees the pond and drink water from it will have his or her illness remedied, and healthy people will gain immunity to fight against the diseases. A Chinese lama is appointed by the Guti Sansthan that belongs to the government of Nepal, whereas the Ministry of Culture and Tourism has established Bodhanath Area Development Committee that looks after Bodhanath and performs all the necessary renovations of the stupa.
श्री बौद्धनाथ क्षेत्र विकास समिति 2053 सालमा नेपाल सरकारद्वारा गठित संस्कृति पर्यटन तथा नागरिक उड्डयन मन्त्रालय अन्तर्गत रहने एउटा सरकारी निकाय हो। मूलतः बौद्धनाथ क्षेत्र विकास समितिले बौद्ध महाचैत्य जुन विश्व सम्पदामा सूचीकृत छ यसको संरक्षण गर्ने, पर्यटनको प्रवर्धन गर्ने, धर्म संस्कृतिको जगेर्ना गर्ने, प्रवर्धन गर्ने र स्थानीय लेभलमा कुनै महत्त्वपूर्ण विकासको योजनाहरूमा यसले चाहिँ टेवा पुर्याउने यो संस्थाले यी कामहरू गर्दै आइरहेको छ।
All the ritualistic works are performed by Chinese monk, whereas all the works of conservation and renovation is performed by Bodhanath Area Conservation Committee.
बिहान बेलुका यसो अब भ्याएन भने भ्याएन, भ्याएको बेलामा हामी कराहरू गर्छौँ अनि बातीहरू बाल्ने, घुम्ने, मानेहरू घुमाउने यसो गर्छौँ। घुम्नलाई आनन्द लाग्छ। अब घुमेर यसो बातीहरू बाल्ने, कहिले घुम्ने, घरमा बसिराख्नुभन्दा घुमेर गर्नलाई राम्रो लाग्छ, खुसी लाग्छ आफैलाई।
This stupa is based on the practice of Mahayana Buddhism. It is also taken as the symbol of Chintamani. As per the Buddhist model of construction, bricks, mud, stones, wood, copper and gold were used to construct the stupa. It has 5 layers of construction, which are considered as the 5 elements of nature that are needed for the creation. The upper portion of the stupa from the ground level is considered as the earth. The core above it is considered water. 13 Bhuvan symbolizes fire. Chatravali symbolizes air, and the topmost dome indicates the sky. There's a ring road that encircles the stupa. Buddhists encircle the shrine chanting Om Mani Padme Hum. It is believed that chanting the mantra will free oneself from all miseries and will finally achieve salvations from the heaven, hell, earth, and other places. There are 6 such places in total according to Buddhism. Different statues of Bodhisattva are placed in different parts of the stupa. Mantras are written in each statue. There are 108 different parts in the stupa, and a statue of different gods and goddesses rests in each part. There are 108 total statues placed on those parts. Its dome is considered as the symbol of the universe. The 2 eyes in each direction is called Harmika. Harmika indicates the 4 noble truths and 8 rightfold paths. These peaceful and thoughtful eyes also symbolize knowledge and measures to rid from evil. It is believed that the gaze of the eyes will rid oneself from sex, anger, greed, attachment, jealousy, gluttony, and pain, and will take the mind to bliss, non-violence, and positivity. The question mark-like symbol below the eyes symbolizes nirvana, and the dot symbolizes wisdom. There are 13 more stories above the Hermika. These 13 stories indicate the 13 places after life that Bodhisattva crosses. After the 13th story lies a gold-plated copper lotus. The flower symbolizes softness, purity, kindness. Then after lies Chhatravalis, which is considered as a protector of the stupa. The top part of the stupa is considered as the symbol of Sumeru mountain, which indicates greatness. It is believed that after reaching the peak, one is supposed to attain nirvana, shunyata. Buddhist devotees pray to the shrine, seeking welfare not just for themselves, but for the entire living creatures.
यसमा गुरु रमशील पद्मस्तम्भले भन्नुभएको छ हामीले बौद्ध परिक्रमा गर्दा कोरा राउन्ड गर्दाखेरि 7 कोरा गर्ने 21 गर्ने 13 गर्यो भने राम्रो बलिचित्त सोच राखेर प्राणीदान मल्लम गर्यो इंग्लिशमा एस्पिरेसन भन्छ डेडिकेसन पनि भन्दछ नि त्यो गर्यो सम्पूर्ण प्राणीको लागि सोचेर गर्यो भने बुद्धत्व प्राप्त गर्न सक्छ भन्छ
Nepal signed the World Heritage Conservation Treaty to renovate all different cultural and religious heritages with the aid of UNESCO in 1978. By 1979, 7 places inside the Kathmandu Valley were listed in the World Heritage List. One of those 7 heritages is Bodhanath.
यहाँ घुम्न आउने पर्यटकहरुमा त अब धार्मिक पर्यटक नै बढी आउँछन् एसियन मुलुकबाट चाहिँ बढी मात्रामा आउने गर्छन् त्यससँगसँगै अब अमेरिका त्यसैगरी युरोपबाट पनि धेरै पर्यटकहरु आउने गर्छन् बौद्ध धर्म दर्शन संस्कृतिको पनि एउटा यो केन्द्र भएको हुनाले त्यससँग सम्बन्धित पक्षहरुको अध्ययन गर्नका लागि पनि धेरै विद्यार्थीहरु अध्येताहरु पनि यहाँ आउने गर्छन्
Though the earthquake of 1934 could not harm the area, it was badly harmed by the earthquake of 2015. Different parts of the area were harmed by the 2015 earthquake. Then after, under the coordination of Archaeological Department, Bodhanath Area Conservation Committee was able to renovate all the damages.
2072 साल वैशाख 12 गते शनिबारको दिन बिहान 11:56 मा गएको 7.8 रिक्टर स्केलको विनाशकारी भूकम्पले नेपालका धेरै सांस्कृतिक सम्पदाहरू क्षतिग्रस्त हुन पुगे र त्यो विनाशकारी भूकम्पले बौद्ध महास्तूपलाई पनि ठूलो क्षति पुर्यायो बौद्ध क्षेत्र विकास समितिको नेतृत्वमा चाहिँ यसको पुनर्निर्माण गर्नुपर्छ यसको जीर्णोद्धार गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने अभिप्रायले हामीले कामहरू अगाडि बढायौं
The renovation project was initiated in July 5, 2015 and completed in November 20, 2016. A puja was performed by then as a symbol of sanctification.
73 साल मंसिर 3, 4, 5 गते चाहिँ हामीले शुद्धिकरण तथा प्राण प्रतिष्ठा पूजा सम्पन्न गर्यौं
Iconic place to be, and it's a very, very powerful spiritual place for Buddhist people, as well as other people. Everyone comes here. I love it here. I love it here. Energized. It's a very energetic place. It's a perfect place to practice and to just be. Everybody is so kind and welcoming. It's been good here.
Different festivals and jatras are celebrated in Bodhanath every year. Among them, one is Mamla Jatra. It is also called Azim Jatra. There is no authentic documentation regarding the origin of this jatra, yet oral tradition says it had begun in the 8th century after Guru Rinpoche Azim was established as the protector of this area.
र यो जात्रा चाहिँ विशेष गरेर ममको स्मरणमा ममको सम्झनामा मनाउने गरिन्छ। मम चाहिँ बौद्धको रखवाला रक्षाकर्ता भएको हुनाले उहाँकै सम्झनामा उहाँकै स्मरणमा जात्रा मनाउने गरिन्छ र जात्राको दिनमा चाहिँ ममको रथहरू सिँगारिन्छ। ममको प्रतिमालाई चाहिँ लामाहरूले क्षमा याचना गर्दै मूल प्रतिमालाई चाहिँ छोपेर राखिन्छ र उहाँको प्रतीकात्मक स्वरूप प्रतिमालाई चाहिँ खटमा राखेर नगर परिक्रमा गरिन्छ र जात्रा चाहिँ विशेष गरेर राति मात्र हुन्छ। अजिमाले चाहिँ यो क्षेत्रहरूमा चाहिँ आफ्नो क्षेत्रभन्दा भित्र कुनै पनि भूत प्रेतहरू पिशाचहरूलाई आउन दिँदैनन् भन्ने एउटा जनविश्वास छ, जनश्रुति रहेको पाइन्छ। बौद्धको सेरोफेरो वरिपरि चाहिँ यो ममको चाहिँ एउटा संरक्षण गर्ने क्षेत्र हुन्, त्यसैले त्यहाँ चाहिँ रथहरू लाने गरिन्छ भन्ने एउटा हाम्रो एउटा स्थानीय मत रहेको पाइन्छ।
Likewise, a day before Chaitra Purnima, Temal Jatra is observed. This Jatra is celebrated especially by Tamang community. During this Jatra, Tamangs from Kathmandu and neighboring districts visit the place and ignite lights in the loving memory of their deceased relatives. There's a tradition of giving alms and donations after the completion of puja. They also sing Tamang Selo and dance with the song. Vaisakh Purnima celebrates Buddha Jayanti. This is the day on which Lord Buddha was born, got enlightenment, and received Mahaparinirvana. There is a special puja on this day for the same reason. In the like manner, people perform plantation of paddy as the festival during the month of July-August. This Jatra is a part and parcel of Buddhist identity. People light lights in the memory of their deceased relatives on this Jatra as well. On Mangsir and Paush, October, November and December, January, people celebrate the Dasami Cheju Puja related to Guru Rinpoche. Losar, which is New Year, is also celebrated in a grand way. Special carnival is observed here during Sonam Losar.
बौद्ध स्तूपलाई मैले ज्ञान र शान्तिको प्रतीक ठान्छु। त्यसले गर्दाखेरि म यहाँ आइरहेको हुन्छु। यहाँ आउँदाखेरि मलाई शान्त फिल हुन्छ। यहाँ आएपछि मलाई इन्लाइटन फिल हुन्छ। यो एरिया घुम्दाखेरि मलाई आनन्द आउँछ।
Similarly, after death of a Buddhist in the area, the deceased body is taken around the mortal remains is taken around the shrine and then cremated. It is believed that taking the body around the shrine will free the deceased person from all the worldly and afterlife sufferings.
मर्दाखेरि पनि बाँच्दाखेरि पनि हामीलाई बौद्ध चाहिन्छ कि बौद्ध महास्तूपको त्यति महत्त्व छ किनभने मृत्युपछि पनि परिक्रमा गरेर लाँदाखेरि चाहिँ मुक्ति मिल्छ भन्ने एउटा जनविश्वास छ.
These festivals and celebrations are no doubt a continuation of Buddhist culture, but are equally useful in preserving the Buddhist culture as well as for the promotion of tourism.
More Chinese people, Chinese tourists come to visit Nepal because Nepal is a very beautiful country and the Buddha is a very beautiful place. We like Nepal very much. Nepal is a very peaceful country and the people very kind-hearted. So welcome to Nepal.
This World Heritage Site has religious, historical and cultural significance. It is our responsibility to promote this holy place as a beautiful tourist destination for the visitors from all over the world and work for the preservation of it as well.
Nepal launches zero pending file drive to speed up government work. New policy targets long-standing bureaucratic delays. Nepal enters new year after historic political upheaval, Gen Z protests, government collapse and elections reshape the country's political landscape. Trivandrum International Airport upgrades passenger facilities for comfort and care, breastfeeding rooms and medical support, push for inclusive services. Government seals 20 stalls in Prikuti Mandap over years of unpaid rent. Reporters Club among those affected. US warning of port blockade takes effect following Iran talks collapse. Strait of Hormuz security fears rise. And Yannick Sinner reclaims world #1 spot, beats Alcaraz to win Monte Carlo Masters. Good evening, I am Sarah Sapsanamarai and this is NTV World News Hour coming to you live from Kathmandu at 2200 hours Nepal time. Now the news in detail. Nepal has launched a nationwide zero pending file campaign to address bureaucratic delays and improve public service delivery. Led by the Office of the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers, the initiative introduces automatic reviews for files pending beyond 3, 7 and 15 days. Authorities say the move targets long-standing inefficiencies caused by files being held across multiple administrative levels. The government expects the campaign to enhance accountability, speed up decision-making and streamline governance. Nepal's year 2082 under Bikram Sambat calendar was marked by unprecedented political upheaval following deadly protests in September 2025. At least 76 people were killed as demonstrations against governance and policy decisions escalated into violence, forcing the resignation of the government led by KP Sharma Oli within 27 hours. Parliament was dissolved days later. An interim government led by Sushila Karki was formed to oversee elections. The result culminated in a sweeping victory for Rashtriya Swatantra Party, with Balendra Shah appointed Prime Minister in March 2026. We will delve deeper on this in our Issue of the Day segment later in the bulletin. Nepal's Trivandrum International Airport has introduced new passenger-friendly facilities aimed at improving comfort and inclusivity. These include breastfeeding rooms, free sanitary pad services and CPR machines installed at multiple locations for emergency response. Airport authorities say staff have been trained to handle medical emergencies, with plans underway to establish a dedicated health desk. The upgrades are part of broader efforts to enhance passenger experience and safety. We'll see more on this as well in our cover story of the day segment later in the bulletin. Now, the Social Welfare Council has locked 20 offices and stalls at Bhrikuti Mandap over unpaid rent and long-standing dues. Among those affected is the office of the Reporters Club, led by Rishi Thamala, which reportedly owes the highest amount. Several other organizations, including media and civil groups, are also impacted. Authorities have given defaulters 1 week to clear payments or face further action. The United States has imposed a blockade on Iranian ports, with President Donald Trump warning that any Iranian vessels approaching the zone could be eliminated. Iran has rejected the threat, with its leadership stating it will not yield under pressure. The escalation follows failed weekend talks over Tehran's nuclear program, with both sides blaming each other for the breakdown. The development raises fresh concerns of military confrontation in the region. Yannick Sinner has reclaimed the world #1 ranking after defeating Carlos Alcaraz in the Monte Carlo Masters final. The Italian secured a straight sets victory in a tightly contested match affected by windy conditions and high unforced errors. The win marks his third Masters 1000 title this season and extends his winning streak in the series to 22 matches. It is his first return to the top ranking since November. Now, Nepal rings in a new year, but the scars of a revolution remain. From the front lines of a deadly Zenzi uprising to a total collapse of the old guard, the country has undergone a political earthquake. After the break, we explore Nepal's landmark elections and new faces of power rising from the unrest, our issue of the day. You're watching NTV World and this is News Hour. Welcome back. Time now for our issue of the day. Nepal is stepping into the new year under Bikram Sambat calendar, marking 2082 as a year defined by major political upheaval and historic change. The country witnessed a Zenzi-led protest movement that escalated into deadly unrest and vandalism. What followed was the formation of an interim administration, sweeping political realignments and landmark elections that reshaped the nation's power structure, setting the stage for a new political era. Siksha Bhattarai looks back.
As Nepal marks its new year in mid-April under the Bikram Sambat calendar, the year 2082 will be remembered as a period of intense political upheaval. In September 2025, a Gen Z protest movement led to the collapse of the government headed by KP Sharma Oli. As a result, general elections were successfully held on March 5, 2026. The protest began due to long-standing ill governance, corruption, and irregularities fueled by the government's enforcement of the directive regulating social media, requiring unregistered platforms to shut down within 7 days. Protest called by the youth groups on September 8 began peacefully but turned violent later in the day. Security forces opened fire after curfew measures failed to control the crowd, leaving 23 people dead and many injured. The following day, demonstrators carried out widespread attacks and arson, targeting parliament, executive government buildings, and the judiciary. Other key state infrastructure, political party offices, and private residences of political leaders were also damaged in the unrest. The death toll from the incidents of September 8 and 9 later rose to 76. The unrest subsided only after the army was deployed on the night of September 9. The government stepped down within 27 hours, marking the first time in Nepal's history that any administration has fallen in such a short span during protest. Within days, on September 12, the House of Representatives was dissolved. As a result, an interim government was formed under former Chief Justice Sushila Karki, following a recommendation to President Paudel. The interim government was given a mandate to hold elections for the new House of Representatives. Political developments followed rapidly in the changed scenario. Amid pressure following the youth-led movement, established political forces and long-standing parties and structures faced renewed calls for reform. The Maoist Centre and CP and Unified Socialist merged to form a new Nepali Communist Party under Pushpa Kamal Dahal, although some leaders expressed dissatisfaction and broke away. Within major parties, leadership changes also took shape. KP Sharma Oli became party chair again after internal provisions were amended, while Gagan Thapa was elected president of the Nepali Congress through a special convention. They focused their strategy on election-centered activities. At the same time, the interim government prepared for the March 5 elections. Amid preparations for the elections, Kathmandu Metropolitan City Mayor Balendra Shah facilitated a merger between the Rashtriya Swatantra Party and the Viveksheel Saja Party. In the March 5 elections, RSP won 182 of 275 seats, forming a majority after 26 years. About 78% of new members entered parliament, while Madhesh-based parties failed to win seats. Balendra Shah defeated KP Sharma Oli in Chhapa 5. The victory validated RSP senior leader and prime ministerial candidate Balendra Shah to head the government. The cabinet under Balendra Shah has now 16 members, including 6 women, marking 37.5% female representation, the highest since the 2015 constitution, which mandates at least 33% women in state bodies. The newly formed parliament was prorogued after completing key roles, with Dol Prasad Aryal elected as speaker and Ruby Kumari Thakur becoming deputy speaker. As the new government took charge, former Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli and former Home Minister Ramesh Lekhak were arrested based on the report of Gen Z Movement Probe Commission and later released on bail. Former minister in the KP Oli-led government, Deepak Kharga, was arrested on money laundering charges, while arrest warrants were issued against Sherbahadur Deuba and Arju Rana Deuba. In political terms, it was a year to remember in Nepal's history, while strides were also made in sports. Nepal qualified for the ICC T20 World Cup 2026 for the second consecutive time and recorded its first ever win against West Indies in the Unity Cup. Nepal's blind women's cricket team reached the World Cup final for the first time. These were home events, but as the global village with supply chain and ripple effects, global tensions also affected Nepal, although minimally, as India remains the main exporter of oil to Nepal. Digital technology use expanded in government, banking, and financial sectors, while the stock market showed an upward trend following the new political mandate. As the new year begins, Nepal enters a new phase following a year defined by political upheaval and systemic change.
And in this context, in our Public Pulse segment, we asked how they would sum up Bikram Samvat 2082. Let's have a look.
2082 was full of ups and downs. There was a greatest Gen Z protest, which was a bit sad to hear, but it turned into something good and hopeful to all of us. With the new government, with the new youth in the parliament, it brings some hope for us, and let's hope some good days will come in the future. Then we shouldn't have to worry about the government issues. We are hoping for some good days to come.
2082 एकदमै स्मरण योग्य र परिवर्तन उन्मुख देखे मैले जनताहरुको आवाज बनेर एउटा जेनजी मुभमेन्ट भयो जेनजी मुभमेन्टबाट ती पुराना सत्ताहरू पुराना विकृतिहरू फालिएर अहिले नयाँ सरकार बनेको छ। आउने अब सन्ततिले त्यो विकसित मुलुकको रूपमा हाम्रो नेपाललाई हेरुन्, पढुन् र विश्व सामु चाहिँ एउटा नेपालमा विभेद रहित एउटा सिङ्गो नेपाली, कुनै जात समुदाय कुनै आर्थिक पाटोबाट विभेद रहित हाम्रो नेपाल बनोस्।
2082 सालको मेरो चाहिँ राम्रो घडी बित्यो। अब पार हुने के कसो हो मलाई चाहिँ त्यति इन्ट्रेस्ट केही पनि छैन। अब म राम्रोसँग खुसी साथ यो जिन्दगी काटेँ।
दुःख पनि भयो हैन। मान्छेहरूले दुःख कष्ट जेनजी आन्दोलन भए, धेरैजना बित्नुभयो, धेरैजना घाइते हुनुभयो। अब त्यो कुराले एकदम अब दुःख भयो। अर्को कुराले चाहिँ एउटा चाहिँ नयाँ जोस जाँगर बुढा नेताहरू हटेर अहिले युवाहरू आउनु भएको छ हैन। देशमा केही परिवर्तनको लहर फैलिरहेको छ। त्यो भएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि 82 साल नराम्रो पनि भयो, तर अब के अरे फक्रिनै लागेको यो वसन्त ऋतु छ नि, एउटा आशा लाग्दो। कोपिला पलाएका छन्, स्वच्छ हावा चलेको छ। त्यस्तै अब यस्तै कोपिला जस्तै अहिलेको सरकारमा पनि त्यस्तै व्यक्तिहरू आउनु भएको छ।
धेरै दुर्घटनाहरू बिहोर्नु पर्यो र धेरै आमाहरूको कोख रित्तियो। यस्तो चाहिँ अब फेरि दोहोऱ्याएर यस्तो परिस्थिति नआओस् र अहिले जेनजीको सरकार बनेको छ, युवा साथीहरू आउनुभएको छ। उहाँहरूले राज्यको लागि चाहिँ सबै कुरा राम्रो गरून्, सोचे अनुसारको काम होस्।
That wraps up our issue of the day. Breastfeeding rules, emergency care, and a focus on inclusivity. Trivandrum International Airport in Kathmandu is rolling out a major service upgrade following new government orders. We're breaking down how these changes could likely affect your next flight in our cover story. Stay with us. You're watching News Hour here on NTV World. I am Sarah Sapsanamarai. Welcome back. Time now for our cover story of the day. Travel is becoming more comfortable and inclusive at Trivandrum International Airport of Nepal. Following a government directive, new essential services have now come into operation. From breastfeeding rooms to emergency medical support, the airport is upgrading its passenger care. Diksha Awasthi with Pawan Barsha Shah brings the story.
Traveling through Nepal's Trivandrum International Airport is no longer just about catching a flight. It is now about traveling with dignity, comfort and care. For mothers traveling with infants, a long overlooked necessity has finally been addressed. This is the passenger waiting area, and just beside it, a clean and well-managed room now offers a safe private space for breastfeeding. Mothers can now feed their babies comfortably without hesitation, without inconvenience. And there is more. Inside the room, cradles have been placed, allowing infants to rest peacefully. No more carrying a sleeping child for hours. This small facility brings big relief. These breastfeeding rooms are now available in both the international and domestic terminals. But the changes go beyond childcare. For women passengers, the airport has introduced free sanitary pad services placed at the entrances of 3 restrooms in the international terminal and 2 in the domestic section. A simple step ensuring that a biological phenomena does not turn into discomfort or distress.
Sanitary pad चाहिँ 5 ठाउँमा, डोमेस्टिकमा 2 ठाउँ र इन्टरनेसनलमा 3 ठाउँमा चाहिँ निशुल्क यात्रुहरूको लागि मात्र भनेर चाहिँ sanitary pad हिजै हामीले व्यवस्था गरिसकेका छौं. Sanitary को भेन्डिङ मसिन सहित फ्री sanitary चाहिँ प्याड हामीले व्यवस्था गरिसकेका छौं. त्यस्तै स्तनपान कक्षको हिसाबमा पनि हामीले पुरानो स्तनपान कक्ष रहेको ठाउँमा त्यसलाई स्तरोन्नति गरेका छौं, स्तरोन्नति गरेका छौं. जस्तो त्यसमा हामीले त्यसलाई सफासुग्घर गर्ने डिप क्लिनिङदेखि लिएर नयाँ कोक्रोहरू राख्ने र पुरा उता डोमेस्टिकको चाहिँ साँगुरो ठाउँ भएकोले त्यसलाई थप चाहिँ फराकिलो ठाउँमा हामीले सारेका छौँ।
At the same time, the airport is also strengthening its emergency response. CPR machines have also been installed at 5 different locations to respond to sudden cardiac arrest. Airport staff, immigration officers, and security personnel have been trained to use them to handle such critical life-saving moments. This facility has been particularly beneficial for international travelers passing through the airport.
अब एउटा हेल्थ सेन्टर चाहिँ हामी राख्न गइरहेछौँ डिपार्चरतिर पनि, किनभने त्यो चेक इन एरियामा बढी मान्छेहरू सडन चाहिँ त्यहाँ हुने लाइन लाग्दाखेरि हैन त्यो किसिमको चाहिँ नि कहिलेकाहीँ ढल्ने बेहोस हुने लड्ने हैन कार्डियक एरेस्टहरू हुने त्यस्तो घटनाहरू भएकोले हामीले चाहिँ अहिले तत्कालको लागि चाहिँ यो एइडी भन्छ नि, जस्तो अटोमेटिक एक्सटर्नल डेफिब्रिलेटर भन्छ नि, त्यो सडन बेहोस भएकाहरू कार्डियक एरेस्ट हुनेहरूलाई हामीले त्यो मेसिन राखेका छौँ।
And the improvements are still ongoing. The airport is preparing to establish a dedicated health desk near the immigration area where passengers can receive immediate primary medical assistance if needed. Because today, travel is not just about reaching a destination. It's about feeling safe, supported, and cared for every step of the way.
That wraps up our cover story of the day. Moving on to other news, Nepal's Prime Minister Balendra Shah held a discussion with members of parliament representing Bagmati province at Singhadarbar in Kathmandu, the country's federal administrative headquarters. Bagmati province includes the capital city Kathmandu and is Nepal's most politically and economically significant region. During the meeting, lawmakers raised concerns related to development projects, public service delivery, and local governance challenges in their constituencies. The Prime Minister's Secretariat said the dialogue aimed to improve coordination between federal leadership and elected representatives. Foreign Minister Sisir Khanal returned home today following his first official foreign visit to the 9th Indian Ocean Conference in Mauritius. Speaking at the airport, the minister highlighted his push for inclusive maritime governance and collective action on climate change.
सम्मेलनको क्रममा 11 अप्रिलमा आयोजित प्लेनरी सत्रमा सम्बोधन गर्दै मैले क्षेत्रीय सहकार्यको पुनर्संरचना, समावेशी तथा नियममा आधारित रूल अफ लमा आधारित समुद्री सुशासन, जलवायु परिवर्तनका चुनौतीहरूको साझा समाधान तथा दिगो र लचिलो विकासका लागि समन्वित प्रयासको आवश्यकतामाथि जोड दिएको थिए। साथै भूपरिवेष्टित मुलुकका रूपमा नेपालका विशिष्ट सरोकारहरूलाई अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय समुदायहरूसम्म स्पष्ट रूपमा प्रस्तुत गर्दै समुद्री पहुँच, कनेक्टिभिटी र क्षेत्रीय सहकार्य साझेदारीका विषयहरूलाई प्राथमिकताका साथ राख्नुपर्ने कुरा पनि मैले औल्याएँ।
Ministry of Education, Science and Technology has directed both private and public schools to make their scholarship distribution records public. In a letter sent today to the Ministry of Federal Affairs and General Administration, the ministry urged local levels monitor and facilitate schools to ensure they are providing the mandatory 10% scholarship based on student enrollment as required by the Education Act and regulations. Under the Compulsory and Free Education Act 2075, private schools and public educational trusts are legally required to reserve seats. They are also required to provide free education to a designated number of students based on their total enrollment capacity. Speaker Dol Prasad Aryal has issued a firm directive to expedite the completion of the new Federal Parliament building. In a meeting today with urban development officials and contractors, the Speaker emphasized that no further delays will be tolerated ahead of the May 22nd deadline. While the 7.9 billion rupee project, which is worth around $53 million, is now 94% complete, it has been plagued by 6 separate time extensions since construction began in 2019. Following the site briefing, Speaker Aryal also held strategic consultations with former speakers Devraj Khimere and Agni Prasad Sapkota. The discussions focused on drawing from their tenures to enhance legislative efficiency and strengthen Nepal's parliamentary traditions. Nepal government has accelerated driver's license printing at the Security Printing Center in Kavre district in central Nepal. Under an agreement with the Department of Transport Management, the facility aims to produce 1.2 million license units in 6 months, with daily output currently reaching 40,000 units. While technical staffing shortages initially slowed progress, the center has already processed over 554,000 records, with another 300,000 scheduled to arrive for printing by Tuesday this week. Ministry of Communications and Information Technology of Nepal has launched an initiative to improve internet services within Singhadarwar, the country's main federal administrative complex in Kathmandu. Singhadarwar houses key government ministries and agencies, making reliable digital connectivity essential for daily governance and public service delivery. Minister for Communications and Information Technology, Dr. Bikram Timalsina, directed the Integrated Data Management Center to strengthen infrastructure and also ensure uninterrupted high-quality internet service across all offices in the area. Officials reported that while a 1 Gbps connection via Nepal Telecom and an additional 250 Mbps link for G-Cloud services are currently in use, occasional slowdowns and disruptions still occur due to technical issues such as optical fiber cuts. The government says improving digital infrastructure and deploying skilled technical teams is a priority in order to support more efficient, transparent and technology-based governance. The Bhutanese refugee settlement in Chapa district of eastern Nepal, home to people displaced from Bhutan in the early 1990s, is becoming increasingly unsafe due to wild elephants. As the refugee population, in fact, living for over 3 decades in the Hamse-Dumse community forest area of Damag continues to decline and the settlement grows sparse, there has been an alarming number of deaths due to wild elephant attacks. Vijeta Bhandari, along with our correspondent, Dikesh Lama, brings a report.
43-year-old Shakuntala Bista Paudel sits in mourning inside the Beldagi refugee camp in Chapa district of eastern Nepal, observing death rituals for her husband Tul Bahadur Bista. Beside her is her 10-year-old son Sudarshan, dressed in white with a shaved head. Bista was killed in a wild elephant attack on April 3rd while heading to a nearby forest area for fodder. His brother said the body was found only 4 days later.
रात परेको अनि भोलिपल्ट फेरि 4 दिन भइगयो है 4 दिन गर्दै चाहिँ अनि बनाउन थालेछ नि त त्यहाँबाट मलाई भेटेको नभेट्ने त्यो दिन पनि.
His death is part of a growing crisis in the camps, where at least 6 people have been killed by wild elephants in Beldagi refugee camp alone in recent times. As the refugee population has declined and settlements have become more scattered, residents are increasingly exposed to wildlife entering from nearby forests.
हात्तीहरु दिनै पछि आउने घरहरु भत्काइदिने हाम्रो चाहिँ अब अहिले संघ संस्थाले पनि जग्गा के भनौं न त्यो क्षतिपूर्तिको कुराहरु नदिने
पहिला चाहिँ अब त्यस्तो खाले नानीहरु संरक्षण गर्नको लागि चाहिँ विभिन्न निकायहरु थिए यहाँनेर संरक्षण गर्थे तर अब अहिले चाहिँ त्यो नभएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि निकै जोखिमै छ.
The situation stems from decades-long refugee crisis after more than 100,000 Bhutanese of Nepali origin fled Bhutan in the early 1990s and settled in camps in eastern Nepal. Today, only around 6,500 remain in places like Chapa in eastern Nepal, with majority of the rest having been a part of a third country resettlement programs. According to Secretary of the Beldangi Settlement Management Committee, after international donor agencies stopped providing relief materials in the camps, refugees have turned to raising goats and other livestock for survival. But the dwindling support has pushed refugees into increasingly dangerous situations.
शिविरभित्रको छाप्राहरू भत्काउने र छाप्रामा खाना राखेको चामलहरू लाने.
a refugee crisis now burdened by thinning settlements, a lack of international aid, and now wild elephant attacks. In the Beldangi refugee camp, refugees who were resettled in this forested region since the 1990s have faced deaths from wild elephants, falling trees, and other hazards. But with the dawn of a new era of governance and the development policies, many hope that the newly formed government of Nepal will take urgent steps to address their safety and long-standing challenges.
International news lined up next, but before that, a quick recap of the top stories this hour. Nepal launches zero pending file drive to speed up government work. New policy targets long-standing bureaucratic delays. Nepal enters new year after historic political upheaval. Gen Z protests, government collapse and elections reshape the country's political landscape. 31 International Airport upgrades passenger facilities for comfort and care. Breastfeeding rooms and medical support push for inclusive services. Government seals 20 stalls in Brikuti Mandap over years of unpaid rent. Reporters Club among those affected. US warning of port blockade takes effect following Iran talks collapse. Strait of Hormuz, security fears rise. And Yannick Sinner reclaims world #1 spot, beats Alcaraz to win Monte Carlo Masters. Oil prices have surged while stocks sank today after US-Iran peace talks fell apart, and US President Donald Trump announced a blockade of the strategic Strait of Hormuz, adding to fears of energy supplies from the Middle East. Oil prices, which tumbled last week after the US and Iran agreed to a 2-week ceasefire, jumped around 8%, with both contracts topping $100 a barrel. Meanwhile, equities fell across Asia, with Tokyo, Hong Kong, Seoul and Mumbai off at least 1%, while Shanghai, Sydney, Singapore, Taipei and Jakarta were also down. Furthermore, with inflation fears reviving, investors are now bracing for central banks such as the European Central Bank and the Bank of England tilting towards raising rates in a sharp reversal from pre-war bets on rate cuts or a prolonged pause. China has called reports it supplied or intends to supply weapons to Iran baseless smears, after several outlets quoted U.S. intelligence sources to that effect. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Guo Jiakun says at a regular press conference that Beijing has always adopted a cautious and responsible attitude towards the export of military items, implementing strict controls in accordance with its own export control laws and regulations and its international obligations.
中国在军品出口方面一贯采取慎重、负责任态度，根据本国出口管制法律法规及承担的国际义务，实施严格管控。我们反对无根据的抹黑或恶意关联。
Russia is ready to take in Iran's enriched uranium as part of a future peace deal with the US, the Kremlin has said. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov told reporters during a press briefing in Moscow that the proposal was voiced by President Vladimir Putin.
Венгрия сделали свой выбор. Мы с уважением относимся к этому выбору. Мы рассчитываем на то, что мы продолжим наши весьма прагматичные контакты с новым руководством Венгрии.
Hungarian Prime Minister-elect Peter Magyar pledges to usher in a new era after defeating nationalist leader Viktor Orban in elections, seen as a blow to hard-right populism.
Hogy 20 milliárd forintért megkérdezik a semmit, hanem valódi, akár megszavaztak, hanem egy teljes rendszerváltásra. A Tisza alatt minden magyar embert képviselni. A magyar emberek tegnap napra pontosan között ne legyen soha többet háború. És ez le is váltotta, mert az Európai Unió bármit is gondolt vagy tervezett ez a jelenlegi legközelebb NATO-hoz tartozunk. Büszkék arra, hogy már 1000 éve az emberek tegnap sok mindenre döntöttek.
Prime Minister Viktor Orbán has conceded defeat to opposition leader Peter Magyar, acknowledging the results were clear and understandable. Moving on, Pope Leo XIV has met Algerian President Abdelmajid Tebboune at the presidential palace in Algiers during a landmark official visit. The trip marks the first time a pontiff has travelled to Algeria, a Muslim-majority country, highlighting its historic significance. Officials described the visit as a key step in strengthening diplomatic ties and promoting interfaith dialogue between the Vatican and Algeria. Further high-level engagements are expected as part of the visit. Business news coming up next after this short breather.
The Middle East war will dominate global finance officials' talks this week in Washington, but World Bank President Ajay Banga is sounding the alarm about a bigger, looming crisis, a huge gap in jobs for the 1.2 billion people who will reach working age in developing countries in the next 10 to 15 years. At current trajectories, those economies will generate only about 400 million jobs, leaving a deficit of 800 million jobs, Banga said. The World Bank President admits that focusing people on the long term is daunting given a series of short-term shocks that have buffeted the global economy since the COVID-19 pandemic, the most recent being the war in the Middle East. He says he is determined to ensure that finance officials stay focused on those longer-term challenges like creating jobs, connecting people to the electricity grid, and ensuring access to clean water. Thousands of finance officials from around the globe are gathering in Washington this week for the spring meetings of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund under the shadow of the US-Israel war with Iran that threatens to slow global growth and jack up inflation. Kuwait has raised the official selling price for Kuwait export crude to Asia in May to $17 a barrel, above the average of Oman Dubai quotes, from a premium of $0.50 in April. The news came after the US military said it would begin a blockade of maritime traffic through Iranian ports and coastal areas after weekend talks failed to clinch a deal to end the Iran war, jeopardizing a fragile 2-week ceasefire. Middle East crude has become the priciest globally after the US-Israel war on Iran disrupted shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, a vital artery for about a fifth of the world's oil supplies. This month, OPEC Plus agreed to raise oil output quotas for May by 206,000 barrels per day, a modest rise that will largely exist on paper as its key members are unable to raise production due to the Iran war. The increase comes as analysts expect the hit to global oil production to flip the oil market into a supply deficit this year versus pre-conflict estimates of a comfortable oversupply. Hybrid and electric vehicles now account for roughly 1/3 of used car sales in France, driven by a surge in fuel prices that is reshaping consumer demand. Data from La Centrale shows a sharp increase in searches for used electric models in recent weeks, reflecting growing interest in lower-cost alternatives to traditional fuels. Despite the shift, diesel and gasoline vehicles continue to dominate the market, underscoring their enduring appeal among buyers. It is said the recent spike in fuel costs has accelerated the transition toward electrified vehicles, though supply constraints and pricing remain key factors influencing purchasing decisions in the second-hand market. China has begun deploying its first intelligent grain leveling robots in commercial granaries, making a push to modernize agricultural logistics and cut labor costs across the storage sector. The robots, equipped with spiral blade wheels, can move across grain piles at speeds of up to 2 meters per second while maintaining stability under heavy weight. Their ability to flatten grain surfaces, traditionally a labor-intensive process, offers a significant productivity gain. According to designer Guo Fengmin, 3 robots can complete a task in 1 day that would otherwise require 3 workers over 3 days in a 1,400 square meter facility. From a business perspective, the technology highlights growing investment in agricultural automation as operators seek to address rising labor costs and efficiency pressures. It is pointed such systems could accelerate the digital transformation of grain storage and handling, a critical link in the food supply chain.
Time now for the sports update. In Nepal's Prime Minister Cup cricket, a major domestic 50-over tournament featuring provincial and departmental teams, 2 matches were played today. In the first match in Birganj, Armed Police Force Club defeated Madhya Province by 74 runs after posting a massive total of 390 for the loss of 5 wickets in 50 overs. APF batsman Asif Sheikh delivered a stunning performance, scoring 208 runs off 142 balls, including 17 sixes and 15 fours. He was named player of the match. In the second fixture, Tribhuvan Army Club registered a dominant 185-run victory over Koshi Province after scoring 362 for the loss of 8. Army captain Binod Bhandari starred with 189 runs and also contributed 2 catches, while Koshi were bowled out for 177 in 35.6 overs, confirming Army's strong position heading into the final. Now, Nepal's sports sector in the year 2082, as per Nepali calendar, delivered mixed results, with cricket providing historic highlights, while football struggled both on and off the field. Cricket drew global attention as Nepal's men's team played in the ICC Men's T20 World Cup for the 3rd time and secured a landmark series win over the West Indies, while the country also hosted its franchise Nepal Premier League under floodlights. In a major milestone for inclusivity in sports, Nepal's blind women's cricket team reached the final of the inaugural Blind Women's World Cup, marking a historic achievement on the international stage. In contrast, football faced a turbulent year with administrative disputes, the suspension of the All Nepal Football Association by National Sports Council, and poor performances, leaving the national men's team winless and the women's team out of continental qualification. Volleyball and other sports saw routine domestic activity, but limited international exposure as Nepal now looks ahead to 2083 with hopes of stronger global impact. Time now for the weather updates, first from across Nepal and then the world. Before wrapping up, here's a look into the top stories once again. Nepal launches zero pending file drive to speed up government work. New policy targets long-standing bureaucratic delays. Nepal enters new year after historic political upheaval. Gen Z protests, government collapse and elections reshape the country's political landscape. Trivandrum International Airport upgrades passenger facilities for comfort and care. Breastfeeding rooms and medical support push for inclusive services. Government seals 20 stalls in Prikuti Mandap over years of unpaid rent. Reporters Club among those affected. US warning of port blockade takes effect following Iran talks collapse. Strait of Hormuz security fears rise. And Yannick Sinner reclaims world #1 spot, beats Alcaraz to win Monte Carlo Masters. That brings us to the end of this edition of News Hour here on NTV World. As always, follow us on our social media and also visit our official website, nepaltelevision.com. I am Sarah Sapsanamarai. Thanks for staying with us. Happy New Year.
Actually, when I was 16, back in 2015, I was at a music festival. This music is called bluegrass that I play, and I was at this bluegrass festival, and this person named Tara Linhart. She is amazing. You can talk to her more, but she had a fantastic project called the Mountain Music Project. And I heard this project of Nepali musicians and bluegrass musicians coming together and fusing the music. And I thought it was really, really cool to see this cross-cultural collaboration. But I really just wanted to get back to music. And so I reached out to Tara. I had an opportunity to get some funding. And I emailed her randomly. She was in Bhutan at the time. And I said, hey, I want to set up a music project in Nepal. Can you connect me with some of your buddies? And she got on a WhatsApp call and started giving me the lowdown of how awesome it was. One of the people she introduced me to was actually Prince's father, Sham Nepali. And we met in New Hampshire. And we jammed together and had a great time. And he said, oh, when you get to Nepal, you have to meet my son. He's so great. He'll play music. You'll play music together. I was like, yeah, whatever, okay. Like, every dad is going to say that about their son. Like, is it going to be great? Well, then 3 months later, I showed up in Nepal, and I had only brought a mandolin, and I wanted a guitar to write some songs on. So I called up Shamdai, and I said, hey, can I borrow a guitar? He said, yes, come meet my son. And so I met Prince in Kirtipur, and we started playing that day. And then we sat down and we started playing, and it was just like magic. It was just sort of this instant connection. That was pretty special and crazy to me that we grew up on opposite sides of the world, and There are American musicians who I don't vibe with. We don't have a connection. But me and Prince, it was just an instant connection. And so we started jamming together.
It's a love song that my great-grandfather composed. And we're going to fuse with another bluegrass love song. सानी सानी ए झिल्के नानी कति राम्रो कपाल कोरेकी सानी सानी ए झिल्के नानी कति राम्रो कपाल कोरेकी हाय हाय कति राम्रो कपाल कोरेकी चस्मे दाजु झिल्के मिल्के जुल्फी मात्र कोर्ने चस्मे दाजु झिल्के मिल्के जुल्फी मात्र कोर्ने दारी जुङ्गा दन्त देखाई मेरो मन चोर्ने दारी जुङ्गा दन्त देखाई मेरो मन चोर्ने नजिस्काउन हे परुलाई हाय शिवर काकी छोरीलाई नजिस्काउन हे परुलाई हाय शिवर काकी छोरीलाई सानी सानी ए झिल्के नानी कति राम्रो कपाल कोरेकी हाय हाय कति राम्रो कपाल कोरेकी जन्म दिने भगवान त हुर्काइदिने आमा जन्म दिने भगवान त हुर्काइदिने आमा कसले हेर यति राम्रो पहिराइदियो जमा कसले हेर यति राम्रो पहिराइदियो जमा सानी सानी ए झिल्के नानी कति राम्रो कपाल कोरेकी सानी सानी ए झिल्के नानी कति राम्रो कपाल कोरेकी हाय हाय कति राम्रो कपाल कोरेकी हाय हाय कति राम्रो कपाल कोरेकी हाय हाय कति राम्रो कपाल
She was living in a lonely cabin with a son by another man. 5 years she had waited for him as long as a woman can, as long as a woman can. And I don't know what what changed my mind. Till then I was a rambling kind of love I can't explain that I had for Nellie Kane. She hired me at work that day to help her till the lands. In the afternoon we planted seeds, in the evening we held hands. In the evening we held hands. And her blue eyes told me everything that a man could want to know. It was then I realized how it'd never go, how it'd never go. And I don't know what changed my mind. Till then I was a rambling kind of love I can't explain that I had for Nellie Kane. We've grown up tall. I became a father to him, and she became my all. She became my all. And I don't know what changed my mind. Till then I was a rambling kind of love I can't explain that I had for Nellie Kane. No, I don't know what changed my mind. Till then I was a rambling kind of love I can't explain that I had for Nellie Kane. Well, first of all, I just fell in love with Nepali culture. I love momos, I love dal bhat, I love it all. I love this beautiful country. I think our message to the world, one of them is that we want to show more people the beautifulness of Nepal. I think that from my perspective, I love Nepali folk music, but in this country, sometimes people haven't valued it. They've looked to the West for other influences. And so one of our goals is to bring up Nepali folk and fusing it. We're not just doing pure folk music, but to show that this is a vibrant, evolving history and tradition that is still relevant today. And then I also think to people abroad, and especially to Nepalis, I want to show them that they can take their instruments and their culture and they can bring it to the world, and that it's so amazing. I mean, everyone who I know maybe they don't know so much about Nepal, maybe the only thing they know is that Mount Everest is there. But then once they try a momo, once they hear some music, then they love it. And so we want to just share this music with more people and share the cross-cultural collaboration. I know I've been saying this for a couple of years now, but because we recorded an EP for one day, and then I've been gone from Nepal for the last year, and the hard drive just sat, and no one did anything with the files yet. So we finally got the files going, and we are finally working on